Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Hey everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, along with G. Bush and Jason Lloyd. I'm Adam the Bull. We've got Steve, Mike, and Anthony. Excuse me. I got to clear my throat here.
Clear your throat. Let me tell you who today's show is
Go
sponsored by. It's brought to us by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. Bull, what time is it?
Game time.
How you guys doing this morning?
Man, I'm struggling. I can't. I'm clear my throat. I can't even open this water. What is happening here? All right, we got it.
Good.
I had a great weekend. Let's tell you guys about it.
Jason, you went away.
We had a great 4th. We went whitewater rafting.
Yeah.
Phenomenal time.
Yeah. Jason, you fell in the water. Your son had to save you, apparently.
No, that's – well, we did jump off this rock. So,
Yeah.
like, there's this massive rock you can jump off. And the guy said, but the boat's not going to stop. So, like, you got to swim to get back to the boat.
Yeah.
So we jumped out. And we got up on these rocks. And as we were getting ready to jump, of course, as a dad, I want my kids to go first.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, they got to worry about me more, and I got to worry
Right.
about them in the water. They're both phenomenal swimmers. AJ's a lifeguard. Well, one of the other rafts was passing by, so we had to wait for the raft to pass by to jump. So our guide is like, "You got to go. You got a long swim coming."
Yeah.
By the time I got in the water, it was probably, I'm not exaggerating, at least 350 yard swim for me.
Oh my gosh.
And to get to the boat, and my kids like jumped, and they're like, and they're on the boat.
And it took you a while.
Oh, and I finally was like, "Hey, come on back."
Again,
I'm done.
I probably went about 100 yards.
Yeah.
And then I just floated on the life jacket. I was like, "Hey, y'all got to come back. I'm done with this."
That's a lot of swimming.
there is a reason why white people colonized the world. What inside of you guys makes you want to be 45, 50, jumping off rocks? Jay jumps out of planes.
I did that.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Listen,
Jason's done it too.
this
I'm not doing that.
This is the reason why you guys were like, you know what? This is a big ocean over here. Let me get in this boat and just start sailing for months. This is wild work. Look at this. Show them. This is wild.
You want to show it on air?
We can show it on air. We can show it on air. Can you? I didn't think about this. I just sent it to you guys. I don't know if you can zoom in on
Come
that.
on, man.
There we go.
Oh, that's a good time.
That's
so that's me, AJ, and Ava up on the rock, and that's some other dude behind us. And we're waiting for the raft to pass. That's the raft. See, we got to wait for the raft. There goes AJ, and there I go, and there goes Ava. And that's not our raft. Our raft is like
further up,
where Alessia is zooming in. And it just kept going.
That's crazy because you can see G. Bush nowhere in the background.
No, that's fair. My version of jumping out of a plane is eating 2 Crunch Wraps for breakfast. That's the risk.
What's the risk? All right. What's the riskiest? Because you are more. I would say you are more light skinned. Like when it comes to certain things, because you don't do too many adventurous things.
No.
What is the most risque thing you have done as a white person?
I mean,
Daredevil.
I mean, the thing that I would say is probably things I shouldn't talk about on TV.
Yeah. We're not. Listen, we're not Vlad TV. We're not gonna get you in trouble.
I really haven't done anything.
See, turn
like
that off
that.
before we get copyright infringement.
Yeah, it was a whole.
I don't know.
This
I'm
whole
trying to
episode
think.
demonetized.
I haven't done anything that adventurous. I'm happy to watch, my son do things, but
Have you ever rode motorcycles?
No.
4-wheelers?
No.
No bungee jumping?
No.
I've done all of that.
Wow.
It's good.
I went skydiving.
No.
I was attached to someone when I jumped out of the plane. I wasn't.
Okay.
Like I had an actual.
I heard some comedian do a funny bit about that. I've never even, not that this is dangerous, but I've never even gone fishing. Do you believe that? Never gone fishing in my life.
My dad took us one time, and I realized, why would I be out here in the middle of this water, hot, and I gotta dig in some worms and then feed? No, I'm cool with that.
You like fishing?
I have been multiple times, but I don't love it.
Doesn't do anything for me. But some people love it, man.
I've gone fishing with sources just to
that's smart.
spend time with them.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But it's not enjoyable.
Yeah.
I do have a cool picture that I didn't take, but let me show you this. This is a buddy of mine. I was talking to him yesterday. He was in Alaska on a cruise.
Oh, I want to do that.
Wow.
I mean, like, that looks like AI generated.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We sent my in-laws for their anniversary last summer, or 2 summers ago, to it on Alaska cruise. Time of their life.
Amazing.
Yeah,
he texted me because he and I were talking about a fantasy football trade, of course, and it's like, I'm going to make this trade as I pass this iceberg here.
Wow.
That's kind of wild.
For future reference, if you guys ever have pictures you want to
send it
show
to
on
you
air,
instead of holding our
please send it in. It is
fair.
It's so much
hard.
better TV when we could just make it full screen.
That's
No, I know.
We literally have
I have a job for a reason,
But
guys.
it never crossed my mind to, like, we were going to talk about, like, Bull was choking.
Yeah.
I was trying to kill 10 seconds, so I just mentioned the rafting trip.
That was crazy.
You know, what makes this show special is that we do a lot off the cuff.
We do. But for stuff like that,
Yeah.
it looks so much better. And to us, you could see the phone. When you're watching on your phone, looking at the camera zooming in on a little phone.
I know it's hard.
It's tiny.
That's a bad job.
So let's make a vow to the viewers.
We'll try to do a better job.
We will
of
do a
that
better job
going
moving forward.
And if you want to go rafting on the New River Gorge, I highly recommend it in West Virginia.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
It does look fun.
We will do it again.
I think I would do that. I would jump off that rock.
So
that I would do.
we had
How far a jump is that?
That jump was probably
10, 12 feet?
No, more than that.
That's like 30,
20?
40 feet.
It was probably 30, 40
Oh, really?
feet. It was probably 30, 40 feet.
Maybe I would do that.
We had, there was 44 of us on the trip, 8 per raft. I think there was like 7 rafts total. Our guide was awesome.
Yeah.
Another guide, the whole boat went in the water. Like, the whole thing capsized.
Oh, really?
People everywhere. Yeah.
It was Bedlam. It was like the Titanic.
They call it a dump truck. And then, like, they blow the whistle, and then everybody's got paddle back, and you're just grabbing people at that point. You're just ripping people out of the water.
I'm gonna just don't. That's why don't invite me. Like I'll be like, hey, Jason, I'm gonna call the cops. I'm gonna call the police, the ambulance. When you like, I'll be the one to jump off, hit my head at the bottom, and be like, I can't feel my body.
Our guide said they've never had anyone die on him. But he has been part of rescue missions where they pulled dead bodies out of the water.
Oh my God!
And like broken femurs against the rocks, like it's legit. It is legit. And they had this rapids called the Keenies.
Yeah.
And they were getting ready to go through. He goes, "Get ready to feel like a thong in a washing machine."
Oh my God!
I gotta use that. I'm gonna use
not
that.
encouraging me to go there, Jason.
Well, you know what? We bought I haven't even watched it yet. We did buy the video. Maybe I'll bring it in.
Yeah.
And we'll show a couple.
Scare
clips
the
of
crap
it.
out of everybody.
But it is. I mean, it was
fun.
It was great.
Nice.
So
all right. Let's get to our first. Well, you know what's not nice is the Cleveland Guardians.
I was going to say, I was going to let this
Horrible.
go as long as it had to because this is maybe the only
there's plenty to talk
part.
about, so go ahead. Do your read, and let's get to the Guardians here.
We're going to dive into it. More Guardian stuff. Check out the Ultimate Guardian show that Zach and Bull did this morning. If you don't
we ended
get
up going
enough
for almost an hour today.
Guardian stuff today,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about an hour worth of Guardians. There's even more on our YouTube page, but we'll start today with a word from FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing. Whether you're about baseball, soccer, golf, you name it, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in the game while your friends are getting sunburnt at the beach. If you're new to FanDuel, we have a offer for you right now. New customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to get started. Guys, the Guardians have now lost 10 straight games. Last night's game came down to the wire. They took a 1-0 lead into the 9th inning, and then a pass ball happened. Detroit scored. The final score ended up being 7-2. This current 10-game losing streak is tied for the third longest in franchise history. The longest came in 1931, which was 12 games. They've lost 11 in a row 5 different times, most recently in 2012. And they are now one of 6 teams in Cleveland baseball history to lose 10 consecutive games. Bull.
Yeah. I mean, it's
bad.
2012 was the last Manny Acta year, if I remember, right? Didn't Francona come in 13?
Nasty as work, I think so.
I believe. Yeah. Or was it 12? No, Francona came in 13, I think.
Francona didn't lose 12 in a row, so it had to be 13.
Yeah. So Francona came in 13. In 2012, they were terrible. That was the last Manny Acta year. He got fired. and Sandy Alomar took over at the end of the season, and then they hired Francona. The Guardians have only been, I think, more than 2 games under 500 once since then, and that was in 2013 when they finished 76 and 86. But at least that year, when they finished, 2023, when they finished 76 and 86 and 23, they were only a game out of the wild card at the trade deadline. Like, they were in the mix. I remember Jay losing his mind about trading Savali for Manzardo, and then they, after the All-Star break, they fell apart. This is a really bad baseball team right now, really bad. And I just want to reiterate something I said this morning. We should have, on some level, thought this could possibly happen. And I'll give the example that I gave this morning again for those who weren't there. We always crap on the Browns, deservedly so. They usually deserve to be crapped on. Last year, when a lot of people were picking the Browns to do well, I said the Browns were going to be under 500 last year.
You did.
And again, although I love patting myself on the back, I'm not saying it for this reason to pat myself on the back. I said they were going to be under 500 because I thought the way they won was not sustainable. And if you think about what the Guardians did last year, it could have been sustainable on some level had they made moves to improve. But once they didn't, and in fact took their biggest weakness and made it weaker, we should have seen at least the possibility of this coming, and here's why. The Guardians were as good as they were last year. For the main reason they were that good is because they had arguably the greatest bullpen in the modern history of baseball. Certainly one of the best bullpens we've ever seen. That was not possibly sustainable. You knew they would not be lights out. They knew they would not be as lights out as they were. So what's happened? Their bullpen's gone from elite. It's a good bullpen. It's still one of the better bullpens, but it's not elite this year. The problem is it can't overcome the major deficiencies. The lineup, which was barely good enough last year, got worse. And the starting pitching, which you thought would be better, I guess it's been a little better, not significantly. And so we should have seen on some level this coming. And this is the culmination of a decade of failures by this organization. Spread out the blame however you want. There's plenty to go around. From the owner to the front office to those in charge of player acquisition, head of MLB scouting, head of minor league scouting, their head of drafting. It's a and their entire hitting infrastructure. It's a culmination of failures, Jason, by that entire group and their inability to not only develop offensive talent, but acquire offensive talent. And it's all come to a head this year. This is an insanely inept baseball team. It is the worst offensive club in baseball. They're right there with the Rockies and the White Sox. They're right there. And they've been worse than those teams in the last month or so. But they're right there. They have...
Boy, you mentioned real quick. I don't mean to cut you off, but
it's fine.
Look at these numbers real quick from the 10-game
show
losing
the numbers
streak.
again.
We had them on the screen before.
Yeah, sorry.
But in this 10-game losing streak, they've scored 15 runs. In 10 games. They've been shut out 5 times.
They scored 6 of those runs in one inning?
Do you know that?
Remember they had a 6-run inning during this losing streak?
Still lost that. And look at the team OPS and team batting average.
Yeah.
You're not going to win any games like
for the
that.
whole season, Zach had a great stat this morning. I don't remember the exact number, but I'll tell you this. If you take out Ramirez and Kwan, the rest of the team, every player that's taken a trip to the plate for the Guardians, the rest of the team has an OPS combined roughly, I don't remember the exact number, of roughly 610 and a batting average of roughly 201. I think it was 201. Which, if you look at it, of roughly 100 and I think there's 158 qualified players that have had enough plate appearances. That would rank 150th of 158. So essentially, the rest of their lineup is the worst player in baseball. All right? They don't play, and I know he hasn't been great lately, but Kyle Manzardo has clearly been their third best offensive player this year. He doesn't play. He sat against a righty on Saturday night.
That's the one, honestly, because we were driving back from West Virginia, and I was listening to the game on satellite radio. And okay, you want to give Hosey a day off? Can't you do that? Or you want to give him a day off from the field? Can't you do that Sunday? because you know you're going against Skubal on Sunday. You know Manzardo, and by the way, that's the one lefty. Okay, fine. You want to sit Manzardo against Tarek Skubal?
At this point, they're so out of it, I wouldn't even do that. But okay, I can live with it at being the one day off.
Why would you sit him on Saturday night,
Yeah.
knowing you're going to sit him on Sunday? So you put Schneeman at third and you DH Hosey on Saturday,
Yeah.
knowing you're going against Skubal on Sunday and Manzardo. Can't you DH Hosey on Sunday?
I mean, it's insane. Did you see the comments from Stephen Vogt after the Saturday loss?
No, I don't know.
So
I've
Vogt-
seen a couple different things that he said at a couple different points.
Well, he goes, we're playing well, we're just not
yeah,
getting the big
yeah.
hit. Is he out of his effing mind?
no, but you.
I
this
know it's
is-
nonsense.
This is a
Yeah.
second-year manager.
Yeah.
Who is still trying to figure out what to say publicly.
Right.
It's sort of like Kevin. You know, Kevin's never going to say anything. He's never going to reveal anything. And I think Vogt's trying to figure out, as a second-year guy with not a ton of experience in this, how Kevin's never going to criticize a player, right? Ever in the media. That's just not his style. I think Vogt's still trying to figure out, when do I come down on these guys publicly? When do I protect them? So I don't pay a ton of attention
Jason,
to what
he
is being
doesn't.
said.
I'm not saying he has to say Austin Hedges sucks.
But it sounds ridiculous when he
when you
says
say
it. Yes.
we're playing well, we just can't get a big hit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
It's-
absurd.
It sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree with
so
that.
the whole, I mean, you can't be. I mean, this is rock bottom, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
mean,
picked them to come. I picked them to come in fourth, I believe. I think McNuggets is searching for the stats. I picked them to come in fourth. We got to look at ourselves a little bit here. We gave these dudes a pass year after year, and they kept testing you. They kept taking it a little bit further, We all forgave them because, hey, they don't have the money. Hey, they do it the most with the least. But they kept creeping. And then it just seems like they got cocky with it. They just don't feel it's a priority to have any hitters. And they put it right in front of your face. You actually have to try to have guys batting 200. And guess what? Where's these
batting 200? Half the guys.
is under one something, right?
Yeah.
As a team, like you talk about take away Jose Ramirez, you take away Quan, and you got people sitting up here just asking and begging for you to play young guys. Dude, you are. I looked at the standings. 15 game. That's you're a 5-piece nugget away from being 20 down. Look at this. Look, that is nasty work. And guess what? We've always said it because.
The whole division sucks.
Right? It's the AL Central. So the Guardians, they don't need to get any sticks. They don't need to do certain things because guess what? It's the AL Central, and they'll be good in the weakest division in the American League. We always keep telling them, guess what? Don't worry about it because we got great pitching and great bullpens. Well, guess what? If your starting pitching has fallen to either mediocre or below average, and you still got a good bullpen, but people don't remember. There's 4 parts to the game. Fielding, they're terrible. How did you get terrible overnight?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that they're terrible, but they're definitely not good.
I mean,
and as much as Jimenez had become useless offensively, you traded your best defender and didn't replace him. You traded your second best run producer and replaced him with a washed-up Carlos Santana. You're not playing your third best player. It's baffling. And it felt like when they called up Will Wilson yesterday, when who went on was it
Lane Thomas.
Lane Thomas. It felt like they were just spitting in the fans' face.
like
I know it's not.
But you know why they called up Will Wilson. Because you're going against Skubal. I would bet you DeLauder's up today.
Well, why didn't they call him up 2 days ago?
Well, I mean, you're not going to call him up on Sunday when you're going against Skubal. So
No, I'm saying you
Wilson
could have
for
called
the
him up
day.
at the beginning of the series.
But Thomas went on the DL. I mean, listen, I said
they have 5 useless guys in the team.
DeLauder should have been here 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing with that. But I'm saying everyone lost their mind because of Will Wilson yesterday. I'm like, guys,
No,
they're
I
starting
know.
Skubal. You're not going to bring him up when Skubal starts.
I hear you.
Now,
you're convinced they're going to bring up DeLauder today?
No.
Oh,
I'm not. But
yeah.
I would bet Wilson goes down and DeLauder comes up.
if I was a young dude.
I would bet. Now, I could be wrong. I don't know anything.
I hope you're right.
I could be wrong.
Is this too harsh to say? If I was a young dude, I would be like, I'm not trying to play for the Guardians. I'm just not.
No, you can't. There ain't that many of these jobs, man.
I get that. But it's hard to sit there in the minors and watch everybody play and guys bat 1-something and they're telling you can't play because of what?
If I'm CJ Kafis, even more than DeLauder, because DeLauder's missed a big part of the season. if I know he's a bigger prospect, but Cephas has killed it all year. For him not, if I'm him, I'm pissed off.
Is he okay? By the way, I saw he bang knees, and I never
but then he
followed
came back
up.
the next day.
He did. I never followed up to see.
He had 3 RBIs this weekend.
I mean,
man,
what else can he do?
Nothing.
His numbers are better than DeLauder's too, for what it's worth.
Yeah, and it's like I get it. Everybody's going to say, and this is true. Oh, all these other guys who have come up had good numbers too. Oh, but you've given them a chance.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you give this guy? What's the downside to calling up CJ Cephas?
Well, they will call him up when they trade Santana. And I said,
what are they waiting for?
I said a month ago they should have traded
Just
Santana.
cut Santana. They're not getting anything.
He's
for
been
him.
on your team 3 times.
What are they going to get?
You'll get a double-A player. But this is what they do. This is what they do.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's asset management, and it's part of the reason that they're in this position. But, they were in the ALCS last year, okay?
Yeah.
Let's not forget. They were in the ALCS
I don't
last
care.
year.
And they flushed it.
You cared at the time.
I know that, but that's not you because they overachieved.
Yep.
And they have at times. We give them a pass when they have a bad season.
It's funny, go move by move on this, right?
Yeah.
Like the Jimenez move. The thing that sucks about the Jimenez move is you have nothing left to show for Francisco Lindor.
0.
Because I don't know. I think you were right. I don't know if Luis Ortiz is ever going to throw another pitch again.
If they prove that those 2 pitches he did that on purpose, he's done.
done.
Okay.
His career's
listen,
over.
Listen.
It's going to be hard to prove that was incidental.
Not necessarily.
And by the way, I give shout out to Peter Lynn. After he throws those pitches, he's just like, man, I can't. You know what? I don't know why. I was really not trying to throw it outside like that. I'm looking around like, bro,
But, like-
this looking like nasty work.
But it's funny because if McKenzie doesn't get hurt, do they trade for Ciccone? Do they still trade? I mean, we'll never know.
Yeah.
But I think part of the reason they traded Naylor for Ciccone was because, well, I know part of the reason they were not comfortable with their pitching depth. So they made the move for Ortiz, they made the move for Ciccone. But if McKenzie's healthy, do they make the Ciccone move or do they trade Naylor for, maybe they do it anyway.
I don't know,
But I
Jason.
just think it's a trickle-down effect. And it really goes back to
Yeah.
the inability, the fact that they work with such tight margins and
Yeah.
they have no room for error is really what it comes back to.
But-
That's why they constantly feel obsessed that they have to try and create assets out of nothing.
But-
why you have to trade Naylor and get
Yeah.
a pitching prospect back.
But for-
because they can't go out and sign anybody.
For 10 years. No, they can, but they've gotten it wrong every time they have.
They're not going to go out and sign Matthew Boyd to that contract.
I'm
They're
not even talking about Matthew Boyd.
But
I'm talking about hitters. I'm talking about hitters. They have not. The reason they're in such a bad spot where it kills them to lose Naylor is because they have nobody to replace him.
And they can't develop one.
They signed Carlos Santana. Every dollar.
You could go back to Josh Bell. The Josh Bell signing was
The
a
last-
disaster.
Mike Zunino.
The last 3 years, every dollar they spent on a free agent for the most part has been a waste.
Yeah.
And they have to shop in the bargain bin. Well, there's some players in the bargain bin that end up doing well. We could go around the league. I'll find you guys in the bargain bin who played well. Stop getting it wrong. How about that? And can we develop one hitter? We've looked at their top 10 prospects for the last couple of years.
15 years.
All of them. None of them can get it done.
It's not even like Ramon Laureano was horrible when he's here.
Yeah.
He's still playing great.
I know.
In Baltimore,
Yeah.
that's and Josh Bell didn't really do anything after they traded him. I looked. I'm like, what did he? And he really didn't. But it really goes back. I don't know what it is with the way that they're teaching hitting here, but I really think I mentioned this a couple times. This winter, I think they really need to take a deep look at how they are teaching hitting and what they need to change on that.
Well, they refuse to go out of the organization.
Go steal
in their hitting
somebody.
Infrastructure. Teams steal from them on the
All
pitching
the time.
side.
All
Why
the time.
wouldn't they do the same on the hitting side?
I don't know.
They're in an echo chamber right now.
Yes, I agree.
And there's nobody from the outside that ever comes into there, and they can't get it right ever. How good would Yandy Diaz? Maybe look at what the player he's become. A real good, consistent player.
The echo chamber is factual.
I
mean, they do a great job on one end of the spectrum, but at least you can go outside and say, listen, this is what we're struggling in. Go meet with somebody. Find me somebody with a different approach than you have. Because, listen, the proof is in the pudding. I know you can't spend any money, but just like everything else, we overemphasize it with the NFL. No. But when it comes to Major League Baseball, if you can't go spend money, you have to develop your own guys. You have to be able to develop 2 or 3 of these guys, power hitters.
Yeah, and I'm sick. I'm not giving the front office a pass for not spending money, because when they spend money, they get it wrong. They haven't been able to develop. This is it. They've gotten a pass for a decade. They've done a good job, but they have not in recent years, and there's no reason they shouldn't be on the hot seat. Everybody feels safe here.
Yep.
That's the thing with the Guardians.
Safe. Everybody good.
Nobody, everybody's. Who knew there's going to be a baseball team with your perfect job security?
100%.
Why should guys not be on the hot seat at some point? To me, they got a year to turn this around. And usually I'm not even that patient. But this, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'm not. I still think they've done way more right than wrong. I'm not ready to go there.
In the last few years, you think they have? Eventually, the track record from 5 and 10 years ago doesn't hold up anymore.
I mean, they were in the ALCS last year. No, they didn't win the championship, but they were in the ALCS last
Okay.
year. That has to count for something.
all right, but it doesn't count for everything.
No, it doesn't. But, okay. So
They didn't capitalize on it.
No, they didn't.
They made the team worse.
No, they got rid of the Fan Fest. They traded their platinum glove second baseman. They traded one of their best hitters in the lineup.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
But I've said it 100 times. If you look at the moves in the vacuum, I get why they did it. But yeah, of course they should have spent more. I'm not going to kill him for Jimenez sucks, guys. Like the mistake they made was giving him the contract.
Right,
It wasn't trading him.
And that's it. But we celebrate them getting rid of his contract that they signed.
But-
Same thing for Miles Straw that they signed. They've shown cluelessness when it comes to hitting.
But when they signed the Jimenez contract, we celebrated.
But that's
because it looked like they got it right, and then it turns out they didn't.
No, I was mad they didn't do nothing about the Lindor contract. We go back to that. Jimenez is a derivative of not spending money on Lindor. He's a superstar.
Right.
They told you to enjoy him while he's here.
Yeah, and the
That's
owner
a
refuses
derivative.
to
Like,
spend.
I mean-
the owner gets no pass because he
No,
should be
he gets
spending
no
more.
pass, yeah.
And the front office that has barely been criticized for 15 years, and I have never. I've criticized them, but not much until the last year or so. Until it's really this year, and it's just like, to me, they stunk in 23. They had and they overachieved last year, and it was not sustainable. And yeah, maybe they will because they're the Guardians. Maybe they'll bounce back next year. We'll see. They've obviously done it before plenty of times. But I don't know. I don't feel good about the direction of this team. I don't know how anybody could.
It's bad right now. It feels really, really bad because you look around and you go, I mean, and for as much as you scream, or not you personally, just all of us, as much as we scream for DeLauder and Kafis, why would you have any confidence at all that any prospect they call up would be any good?
No.
Because none of them have been to this point.
None of them.
So why suddenly do we feel like Chase DeLauder is going to save them?
No, I don't think he's going to save them at all.
It's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
But Rocchio, Arias, Naylor,
Nolan Jones.
Yeah. Rodriguez, if you want, he's not in that category, but if you want outside of
Angel Martinez,
SpongeBob,
outside of Quan,
Oscar Gonzalez,
who have they developed and
No, the
brought
answer
up?
is nobody. We went through it. Jason, I'm not sure
Yeah.
if you were on the show that day. I know, Bull, you were hosting. We went through the last 10 years, essentially, and looked at their top 10 hitters and who had panned out and who didn't.
Nobody.
The answer was nobody.
So now we're screaming about Kafis and DeLauder.
Valera, where is he at? Did he ever play?
He never even made it up
Never
there.
never even got on
He's
the
still in
stage.
the organization.
I do want to ask you guys a question, though, and I know it's hard to find positives and silver linings during this 10-game losing streak, but the starting pitching against Detroit was really good. They got really good performances from Ciccone, from Logan Allen, and Gavin Williams. If you add up all three of their starts together, 18 innings pitched, 3 runs, 18 strikeouts, just 7 walks, and a whip sub-1. It is hard to believe that back-to-back-to-back performances from your starting pitchers with lines like that result in a sweep.
They should have swept them. They could have swept
That's
the
how
Tigers.
bad the offense has been. And I just want to, and I want to ask, and whoever wants to answer. Scuba was incredible last night for Detroit, just like he's been every time he pitches. Gavin Williams went toe-for-toe with him, and that's a guy that we've been waiting on to kind of have.
Yeah, but he's inconsistent. He has
one
one great
and
start,
that means
one
next
bad
start he's going to have a bad start
Yeah.
because that's how he's done. But it was nice to see it. I know the game sucked and how they lost was demoralizing. The starting pitching deserves at least 60 seconds of attention for the way they performed this weekend.
Go ahead. Anybody got anything?
I'm gonna just say this. This is starting to sound like when we come in here on Loser Mondays when we talk about the Browns and how well the defense played.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And gee, do I always put a topic in there? To
Yes,
give
you always
the fans
do.
1
Yeah, I mean,
second
the
of silver.
pitching's been okay. It's been
Yeah.
fine. I mean, the starting rotation's been fine. But, Williams has been inconsistent. Bybee hasn't pitched particularly well.
No.
Williams did great. He did a great job yesterday. And Ciccone, for the most part, his last start was bad. But, he's mostly been good. And am I optimistic about, do I like their rotation? Sure. But they don't have an ace. Bybee's not an ace. Gavin Williams not an ace. They might be. They both have potential, but they haven't shown it yet.
I was going to ask you.
Shane Bieber.
Are you closing the door on that?
On those guys being aces?
Yeah.
No, I'm not shutting the door at all. I think they're both capable, but neither has been able to show the consistency that makes you think they're definitely an ace. And again, now you're going to lose Bieber at the end of this year. Who knows what he's going to do?
He may never throw another pitch for him.
That's possible.
Why would you hold on to him at this point?
Yeah. Well,
trade him at
the thing is, can you get anything for him?
Yeah, I mean,
if he doesn't pitch before August 1st,
I don't see how he pitches before August 1st.
Probably won't
in the
so,
majors because he hasn't even restarted his rehab assignment yet.
I proposed a trade over the weekend involving the Cubs and Guardians, and my friend Mike Farron from MLB Radio said it was a trade for Clase and Bieber, and he's like, yeah, the Cubs wouldn't give up that much because Bieber has no value right now or very little value.
What was the proposal?
I had the Guardians getting Moises Ballesteros, who's their top catching prospect. Now, he's not – the only problem with that, and I should have really factored that in, is he's not going to be a catcher long-term because of his body type. He's kind of built like Alejandro Kirk.
Is he a future first baseman?
He could be. He's like more of like a first baseman DH, so probably he wasn't the right
circle.
guy. He's a circle, yeah. Good, hell of a hitter. Like, doesn't strike out.
Yeah.
Really good hitter. And then
By the way, real quick,
yeah.
there should be more Alejandro Kirk-shaped guys in
Oh,
baseball.
absolutely. And this guy is. He'll be in the big leagues, whether it's with the Cubs or somebody else. He'll be in the big leagues late this year or by next year. You'll see. I mean, he's a portly fella. And then I suggested that the Cubs have another top 50 or top 100 prospect named Owen Cassie, who's a big power hitter, and he's an outfielder. And again, you don't know if they're going to pan out, just like everything else. But I was saying those two guys, and then those guys are both top 100 prospects in the majors. The Cubs have 6. I was saying those two guys, and then, guys a little further down the organization, like another two guys.
You couldn't get 2 top 100 guys for Clase by himself?
I was saying Clase and Bieber.
I know, but I'm just saying Clase by himself, would it net you 2 top 100 guys?
It might. It might, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Mike Farron, who knows the
prospect
sport well, knows he said you were asking for too much.
Teams clutch to their top prospects now more than ever.
Yeah. The Cubs are going to be a desperate team though, because they're probably going to lose Kyle Tucker at the end of the year, which they shouldn't, but they will. And they want to win bad this year. Their GM's on the last year of his contract. When you trade for Kyle Tucker with 1 year left and you give up your second best prospect to get him at the beginning of the year.
So,
that's a we're all in. Type
so
of trade.
they didn't up the ante on these prospects now, huh? Like it's been
the case for a couple of years. Teams do not want to trade their top guys.
Is it like? I mean, obviously draft picks in the NFL, people go crazy over those, but they use those as lottery tickets. But so you saying it's more difficult now to like flip some of these top guys? Because I remember before, it was like, hey, people was going around picking like, yeah, let me get the number 3 dude in your organization. Let me get the number 4.
I mean, there are occasional overpays where you're like, where did that come from? The Kikuchi trade last year, I forget now. Who was involved in the Kikuchi trade? Because it was like, wow, that seems like a lot.
Well, they seem like overpays. One of those guys they got, I think, was Joey Loperfido.
Yeah,
who has done nothing.
He just got called up yesterday.
Yeah,
he's back up. So occasionally, I mean, a lot.
But
of
everybody made a big deal when the Cubs traded Gleyber Torres to get Aroldis Chapman. I would have done that every day of the week. And obviously, I'm a big Gleyber Torres guy, but he's not a Hall of Famer. He's a nice player.
And I would say teams have changed their views even since then. That was 16, right? That was 2016.
And the Guardians, all the guys traded for Andrew Miller did nothing.
Yeah, they did. They didn't pan out. But a lot. I mean, it comes down to organizational risk. Yeah. Some teams would rather take 1 or 2, and the Guardians give me 3 or 4. Give me your 6, 8, 12, and 14 guys.
Yeah.
Rather than put all your chips on one guy.
By the way, you know who's been pitching great out of the Cubs bullpen this year? Drew Pomerantz.
Really? Wow. What a name!
He just gave up his first run of the year Saturday.
Wow.
Damn.
Former first-round pick of. I mean, he's been around for 15 years.
Yeah,
probably.
He's become a good reliever for them.
We're going to talk a little more Guardians and some of their trade deadline decisions coming up in a sec. But let's pivot to our next topic, which is brought to us by Game Time. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize You want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you because Game Time makes it possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to tip-off, and they've got some incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. We're going to talk some more Guardians. We'll talk Browns in a little bit, but we got to spend a few minutes here on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell went on the Taylor Rooks X podcast. It's a podcast hosted by Bleacher Report, and said something very similar to something Jason and I have been preaching over the last 12 months. So I'm curious. I have a different question to ask off of Donovan's comments. But essentially, Donovan challenged Evan Mobley to become more aggressive. Here's the clip, and then we got a question on the back end.
Kenny came up to me and was like, hey, like, try to push Evan Mobley. And even more so next year. Push Ev, push Ev, push Ev. Ev has the potential, man, and he's continuing to take that rise. And I'm glad he said it. Like, they asked who the next face of the league was in 5 years, and he said himself and Wemby. I love that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And now my push to Ev is I need 20 shots. Mm-hmm. But he has to go and say that. Like, give me the ball. Yeah. Like, be able to demand, like, you know what I mean? But I was the same way as him. Like, I was a little more demonstrative than he was, but, like, being comfortable in that space, that, because what comes from that is fair success and praise, but also criticism. Yeah. I've had 5 of 20s, 5 of 36s. Like, you know what I mean? I've had those, and I've had people talk on me about that. But you keep going, and he's continuing to find that space. And, I think for us to be great, and we've said it all year, he has to continue to take a step. So I tell him, like, nah, we need more. Demand it. If I don't pass you the ball, get on my ass. Yeah. If DG don't get the ball, get on his ass. If Ty don't get it to you, get on his ass. And be okay with that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that he's continuing, and he's ready for it. I have no doubt. I talked to him this summer. He's ready for it. He's excited for it. But, when you're quiet like the way he is, sometimes you got to get out of body a little bit more. I think that's the growth.
So Donovan challenging Evan to become more aggressive, more assertive, calling for the ball. The guards, he mentioned himself, and Darius having to get him the ball more. We know he has to become more aggressive. But I want to ask, and G, I'm curious, I want your opinion on this first. Can a player inherently become more demonstrative throughout their career, or is that something you're simply kind of born with or born out of? Does that make sense?
I think you can become more demonstrative. I think it happens a lot. Like, when you see a guy go from a regular, I would say the first time you get a guy that makes his first All-Star game, he's like, oh, I'm here now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you start. Then there's another jump, like when you go from your first All-Star to making an All-NBA team. Then that's that another jump. And then at that point in time, you start seeing them around other guys. You start seeing them get the rock. You start to see, like, other little pieces and parts that come with their game. And a lot of people don't understand, like I forget who I was watching who said this. I think Kenyon Martin was saying it on Gilbert Arenas' podcast. He said, what you don't understand is everybody can't shoot. And he said, not saying that they can't make the shot. Everybody does not have the green light to take that. Like he said, you might got 1 or 2 guys on the court at one time that can shoot anytime they want. And so you fitting off of how they gonna move, how they gonna wondering if they're gonna shoot the basketball. So yes, I see it happening a lot where people can move up the ranks a little bit. But that usually is on mediocre or bad teams where you can insert yourself. It's kind of tough to go from being a guy that's a third string or third alternative guy who has the basketball to getting to the point where you're used to deferring. You're used to being like, okay, well, Darius has the ball when he's dribbling on the left side of the court. This is what he likes to do. Or Donovan, we down 6. Donovan got the ball. He's coming up. He's feeling it a little bit. He's going to take a heat check 3. So it's kind of difficult for you to get to that level. And I think Evan Mobley, the one thing that I want him to work on, and if he does work on this, if he gets his handle tighter, right now he can dribble the ball 3 times, 4 times, and get to where he wants to go. But if he can work on his handle and get it tighter, where it's to a point where, right, just like that, you see how he was dribbling, he kind of lost the ball a little bit. He does that a lot, right? But if he can get that better and be able to not only go left or right and be able to dribble and run and operate off the pick and roll, now that's the unicorn status. Can you imagine? It's Evan Mobley handling. That's your 5 or 4 at the top of the key, running pick and roll with Jared Allen. Come on, bro. If he can handle, he already is a really good passer. If he get to that next evolutionary step, he don't have to wait on Donovan or Darius. He can just get the ball and do what I want to with it.
I guess the question I have, and you guys can answer, is Evan able to? One side is he ever going to be have that in him, that vocalness to demand the ball and be an alpha dog? And on the other side, would that be easier for him if Darius or Donovan, but we'd all prefer Darius, were not on the team and there weren't 2 guys that take so many shots? I think that's the question. Can one happen without the other?
Can it? Sure.
Yeah.
And, you're going to see it because Darius is going to be out for the first few weeks. So that's a great opportunity for Evan to sort of play that way. I don't know that you need to be Kevin Garnett. And plus, you can't be fake about it. Like, it has to be it has to be real.
Yeah.
And there, you can have muscles that you don't know you have, right? You got to train them, and you got to train yourself to be a little bit more vocal. But that doesn't mean that you have to be standing on the court screaming and yelling at everyone. Because KG actually, a couple times I've seen in podcasts where he's called out Evan as a guy that's like, you got to demand the ball from them. Right. And if you don't get it from them, you go to them in timeouts and you say, get me the bleeping ball. But you can do that in a way and still be yourself. It doesn't have to be, we think of like vocal leadership as this demonstrative thing. And Tim Duncan wasn't that guy, but yet Tim Duncan was an absolute killer on the court. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't, it's not necessarily in the theatrics of it and in the, and you have to scream and yell. You can still emerge as that guy without changing who you are at your core.
Right.
And I think that's sort of what he's probably trying to figure out this summer, because again, he took a massive step last year. Now he's got to take another massive step this year, both on court and off court, because basically the entire organization has now pushed him to do this. You've heard it from Kenny, you've heard it from Kobe, and now you've heard it from Donovan. So this is a concerted message from the organization to Evan, to everyone else, and to Evan. This is what you have to do. In order for us to get where we want to go, you have to be the one that carries it there. And
he has to be an alpha.
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
in his way.
It's and it's a fair point to raise. Can you do that when you have 2 ball dominant guards?
Right.
Because that's what they ran into. But they were never trying to make Kevin Love an alpha. Like, it was LeBron and Kyrie and then Kevin.
Yeah.
And that's why we go back to that comparison a lot. But they were never trying to make Kevin an alpha with those guys. They were just trying to make him comfortable. They're trying to make Evan an alpha.
And you don't got difference. And you don't got to be yelling. He don't got to be yelling and screaming if his game is loud. Like, what I mean by that is look, when they talk about being aggressive, like, you don't have to be yelling and jumping up and down. It's, I got the ball in the post, and understanding, it's a mismatch on me. I need that immediately. I don't care if you got a good shot. I need the ball right now.
Right.
Then it switched on a pick and roll. Oh, nope. Give me the block. Because those things later on in the season or later on in games or possessions, those lead to easier baskets, because now you have to be threatened with the fact that if you guys just want to, play around with us and do that, Evan Mobley can kill you. Like, if he gets to the point where it's like, right now, if you stop Donovan Mitchell, it's done. Cavs are finished. They need to get to a point where Evan Mobley, they said, well, if you stop Donovan, you still got to stop Evan Mobley.
Right. I also think, we're talking about what Evan has to do, and obviously he has to do these things. But I think Donovan and Darius have to do a better job also. Especially late. How many times do we see this year in the regular season where Mobley was having a great game and then he didn't get the ball in the fourth quarter? We saw that a lot
against Indiana.
Well, even in the playoffs. And we've got to, and that's on them. Ultimately, he could demand all he wants, and they know he's not going to be as vocal as maybe they'd like him to be, but they got to get him the ball more. They've got to make sure they do it. It can't just become the Donovan show all the time at late. And I think especially, I was saying at the end of the year, Evan doesn't step up when he's playing good centers or when he's playing in big games. And that's true to some degree, but I think also in those games against those guys, Donovan and Darius don't, maybe, I don't know if they don't trust Mobley enough in those spots yet, but they have to.
They have to trust him.
Yeah.
Getting a big man to basketball takes everybody. It takes Evan to be more demonstrative, aggressive, call for it. To Jason's point, he's never going to be Kevin Garnett. Like, I don't think he'll ever be an in-your-face, grill you, yell.
Right.
I say this as a compliment, but Kevin Garnett was a psycho. Like, Evan's never going to be a psycho on the court. And I think if he does, it'll come off fake and not have any validity within the team. The guards have to do a better job of getting him the ball. Kenny Atkinson has to do a better job of designing certain sets coming out of ATOs, out of quarters, etc., to feature Mobley, because when Mobley gets his confidence early, he tends to have bigger and better games. And I was thinking about some of the roster changes the Cavs have made. And on the second unit last year, a lot of times, Ty Jerome was paired with Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell and those guys. And Ty Jerome, who, to Bull's point, did technically average more assists than Lonzo Ball, was a score first, facilitate second kind of guard. And when you switch him out with Lonzo Ball, and there's a giant health factor with Lonzo Ball, part of the reason I think the Lonzo swap with Ty Jerome can help activate even more of Evan Mobley is it's just going to force Evan Mobley to be more aggressive because there's one less guy on the court looking for his shot first. And now if you have a trio on the court of Lonzo, Donovan, and Evan, Lonzo's going to help get those two guys good looks first and foremost before he looks for anything for himself. When it was Ty Jerome and Donovan, both of those guys are score first in that mindset.
Right.
And then Evan was cleaning up the scraps and eating third.
Yeah.
It's going to force Evan to be more aggressive in those secondary units.
Let me ask you this, Jason. I don't know. You didn't obviously cover the Spurs, but how do you, you guys mentioned, one of you mentioned Duncan, right?
Yeah,
who was not a vocal guy.
Right.
He was quiet, but he was obviously an all-time great player. I wonder how did it become where you knew you had to get him the ball, even though he wasn't in your face, he wasn't yelling, he wasn't doing any of that, but everybody knew got to get Tim Duncan the ball, and he just got the ball. I wonder how that transition took place.
Jason, if you don't have an answer, I do.
And he was coming up with David Robinson already there, so
it's a different game. But go ahead.
Yeah,
Mike.
that's true. That's a big part of it. You're right.
Different game. Duncan played longer in college, was a little more seasoned coming in.
That's true.
And immediately, from the second he stepped on an NBA court, when he had a mismatch in the post, he was 2 points. And when you have proven results from the get-go,
Mobley had to develop more.
It becomes second nature. That's
a good point.
In any sport, if you could run the ball with Nick Chubb and he's getting 5 yards a carry, what are you going to do more of? Run the ball with Nick Chubb. And my biggest complaint with Mobley and my biggest complaint with the Cavs, and G. Bush, you mentioned this earlier, when they switch, the Cavs switch defensively all the time. We saw in the playoffs, Siakam or Turner ended up on Darius Garland, and immediately Indiana found the mismatch in the post, went to it. When teams switch against the Cavs, it wasn't an automatic dump down, feed the big in the post on a smaller guard. It has to become, maybe not every time, but that should be the first look. And when Evan gets that mismatch and when he gets the ball, he's got to go score and be aggressive and make good things happen. And when that happens more consistently and with more frequency, then it becomes second nature for the guards to get the ball to Evan.
And that part, the part where he's ready to get the ball in those situations and immediately goes to the basket, that's all on him. That's all on him and his improvement as a player. But it has to happen, and you guys have said it. If the Cavs have any hope of winning a championship, it is completely clear, and Jason, you've said this for a while, they are not winning if Donovan Mitchell's their best player.
No.
It's cut and dried.
They know. Donovan knows that.
Yes, he knows.
He just admitted that to you.
Yes, 100%.
In so many words.
Yeah.
And one more point on the Duncan thing.
Yeah.
from very early in his career, he was always the best player on the team.
Yeah, like it's Tim Duncan.
As good as Tony Parker was, as good as Manu was.
That's true.
Those are Hall of Fame guys.
David Robinson.
No. As good as David Robinson was, Tim Duncan came, and the first year they was like, oh, he's better than everybody.
They had 1 year together. Yeah. I think it was 1 year together.
99.
Tim Duncan finished 5th in the MVP voting as a rookie.
99.
That's amazing. I wonder, guys, and I think it would be good for the NBA and good for the players. You know, for all the complaints about NIL, I wonder if NIL is going to keep guys in college longer.
It'll keep not the top 10 guys. It'll keep the second tier.
The senior.
Not even seniors, but like, for example, Igor Denman, the guy the Nets drafted, I'm pretty sure. Well, the Nets did draft him. I'm pretty sure he came back for his sophomore year because he was a projected mid-first round pick.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I can make $2 million going back to school.
Right.
As opposed to being 15 to 25.
Right.
Came back, became the 8th overall pick.
I'm just so down on college basketball as a whole. I don't believe college basketball trains guys for the NBA like it once did. It doesn't matter how long you stay. It doesn't matter.
That's probably true.
Again, college basketball is a clapping.
I was wrong on Denman. That wasn't the case for him. I'm thinking of someone else.
You're right.
Clapping conversation.
All
These dudes be running around clapping.
I got a shout out, not to my butcher, not to my baker.
Before you do that, is this a basketball? Before we move on to the topic, I have one last thing on this. I was curious. Mobley in his 4 seasons, ready for his field goal attempts per game?
Go ahead.
Jason, what do you think they are for his 4 seasons? Just real quick. I'll give you the answer.
Like year by year?
Year by year, yeah.
8, 10, 12, 14.
I was going to say like 6, 7, 9, 13.
12, 12, 11, 12.
Oh, wow.
I would not have guessed that.
So for some other guys in comparable spheres to Mobley, just the way other teams in the past, historically speaking, have increased their volume. We'll start with Giannis. Came in incredibly raw, didn't see, but he went from 5 to 10 to 13 to 16 to 19 in year 5.
Well, the first year he didn't play a lot, right?
24 minutes a game, 5 field goal attempts. But still 5, 10, 12.
And
we mentioned Tim Duncan. Not the greatest example because he came in as the best player, but 16, 17, 17, 18, 18. So slight increase.
Yeah.
Kevin Garnett, another guy we mentioned, played 29 minutes as a rookie compared to Mobley, who played 33. So slightly fewer minutes, but he averaged 9, 14, 16, 19, 20, 19. So, like, there is that natural progression where these guys at some point.
But Mobley hasn't had that.
And that's what I'm saying. They have not had that jump with Mobley. If it's going to happen, it has to be this year.
But you look at those guys, you start looking at their game. When you start to look at Giannis and you start to look at KG, they started actually having the ball running offense through them. Like they see, that's the thing. If you're gonna be even when in high school, my dad was always like, "Listen, dribbling is your vehicle, and if you're trying to date a girl, you gotta have some wheels, bro." And girls like people who score. You got to be able to get to where you want to go without waiting for Darius Garland to do this. No. I got it, Darius. Wave Darius off. See what I'm saying?
Right.
If you got the ball, he already got the rebound. He's done it. He's done that with coast to coast. But he can bring the ball up and move it up and start the sets that he want to start and move people off the basketball. But that takes him having that improved area of concentration and saying this summer, I need to be going through guard workouts. I don't even need like post up. That's cool. I got that. The 3-point shot. I got that. I already know I'm a defensive savant. I got that. I need to work on getting where I need to go and getting to my spots efficiently on the court.
Doesn't he have to get stronger too? Don't we think?
Oh yeah. Listen, I like the weight room. He's on. He should be on creatine right now.
Breathing the clear.
We got shout out
to our
that was a miracle.
Shout out to friend of the program Hayden Grove, who will be singing the national anthem at the Game 2 of the Rocky River Little League World Series tomorrow.
Oh, shout out to Hayden.
Shout out, man.
That's the biggest break of his career.
It is.
I mean,
forget American Idol.
I mean,
that was nothing.
The Voice.
The Voice.
Oh, God, I said the American.
No one watches Idol anymore.
Is that still on?
Yes, it is. Yeah. And a lot of people do watch
The Voice.
it. We just don't watch it.
Sorry, The Voice, not American Idol.
And he went. Listen, shout out to he won a couple.
Yeah, he did. I know he won the first round at least.
He made it to the knockout stage, whatever that is.
Yeah, he's a great singer if you haven't heard him anyway. He's going
Shout
to
to
do the
him.
national anthem for us tomorrow.
All right, let's get to our next topic. Quick reminder, if UCSS 2 hours a day isn't enough, if the Ultimate shows, spin-off shows aren't enough, we also have some social media channels. We have some TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Follow us on there for all your extra content. All right, guys, let's talk a little Browns football. ESPN put an article out over the weekend with one final move they want to see each NFL team make before the start of training camp. And for the Cleveland Browns, what ESPN said they needed to do is make some important decisions about the team's offensive line. If you look at some of the contract status for the Browns' offensive line, DeJuan Jones is extension eligible, but Bitonio, Teller, Conklin, Pochich, and Tevin Jenkins, who signed a one-year deal this season, are all on the final year of their contracts, meaning we could see a massive change to the Browns' offensive line from 2025 to 2026. Boy, I see you snarking at this.
You know we're desperate for Browns content.
But it is true. It's something we haven't really talked about.
Oh my goodness, I don't like this.
So
word.
I don't understand. What are they saying?
They have to decide who, if any of the five in their final years, need to be re-signed. If they want to be re-signed, should they do it early? And is DeJuan Jones, who is extension eligible, worth giving a long-term deal to now?
I wouldn't give an extension to any of these guys right now. I'm not interested in that. Or I'd wait till the end of the year. I'm certainly not extending DeJuan Jones. He's been too injury prone. Bitonio's probably going to retire at the end of the year. Teller's play is going to decline. Conklin's getting old. Posick didn't have a good year last year. And Jenkins, he just signed, so you're not going to extend him. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not interested in giving any of these guys extensions at the moment.
I think a lot of it's predicated on, Zach Zinter last year was unplayable.
Right.
Does he take a big leap this year, and does he prove that he's ready to step in and start right away?
Right.
Then he probably replaces. Well, I mean, Bitonio, I think for sure we can agree is gone, right?
I would assume if he was thinking about retiring this year.
I would imagine this is it for him.
Probably, yeah.
I think Posich is either 30 or soon to be 30.
Right, and his play declined.
He declined.
Yeah.
Wyatt is right around 30, I think. How long do you want to go with him?
Right.
And do you have to give him a raise? He's already making $17 million. Is he looking for more?
Yeah, I'm not interested in that.
Is he looking for – I mean, if he would take a one-year deal, I'd sign him to a one-year deal. And I think that's what it's going to come down to, but I don't think – I mean, as many Pro Bowls as he's had, why would he take a one-year deal?
He's going to look to get a big contract
he'll
next
get paid. I think he'll get another big deal in free
agency. Yeah, the offensive line's an issue. I mean, I'm not interested in signing any of them right now, but, Conklin's old. They're old. And the guys they've drafted outside of maybe DeJuan have not panned out to this point.
So let me extrapolate a little bit here.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this situation with the offensive line. Now we have 2 first-round picks next year, right?
Yep.
The thought process is that we can just package them up and get a quarterback.
It's a possibility.
But guess what? If I just looked at that, it's a guarantee that they're taking offensive lineman next year, which is wild to me, which I'm going to have to sit here and watch again because they're going to take another big dude. With that, even if you bring back a couple of these dudes, even if Zach Zinter is ready to play, even DeJuan Jones plays well, we don't know what they're going to do with Conklin. We don't know what they're going to do with Pochich, and we told you Bitonio might be up out of here. So that's 3 positions right there. So now you got 2 first-round picks next year, and you're like, okay, well, we need linemen, don't we? We need to get this thing squared away. So now you got an opportunity where you might have to end up taking one of them. That means your pick that you have has to be bad enough for you to even get it. So this is it's muddy. It's muddy. There was a cut and dry clear where you think you can either, we already know what we're going to do. And you're like, well, no, the rest of your team is getting older as you guys continue to spin your wheels at these skill positions.
I mean, it's possible you're going to have 3, 4, even 5 new starters next year on offensive line in 2026.
That's
probably won't be 5, but probably be more like 3 or 4. But it's going to be at least 3.
Yeah.
I think Bitonio's retiring.
You have a new guard next year.
You'll have a new center,
and a new tackle.
Right.
Probably a new right tackle.
Right. And DeJuan, if he stays healthy and plays well, he's your left tackle of the future. You sign him next year. And in a perfect world, they'd probably like to bring back Wyatt as the one veteran on the team.
Especially if he looks like he plays through the whole year and he's not injured.
How old is Conklin now?
Conklin's got to be 33, I would think.
Yeah,
if not even older.
They have an old
Jack
offensive.
Conklin's 30 years old.
30. He's an old 30, man. He's had through a lot of injuries.
A lot of injuries.
He'll be 31 for the start of the season. He turns 30.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have – and again –
Batonio's 33.
I mean, who is replacing them right now?
Well, I mean –
there's no clear answers.
Listen, they're old. They're probably going to miss some time. You're going to get a look at Zinter. Luke Whippler's still floating around. He could easily be your starting center next year.
I forgot he got hurt.
That's part of the reason that, I mean, when you're a competent, healthy team, this is what you do. You take linemen in the 4th, 5th round.
Right, and develop
them for a couple years, and then when they're ready, they step in. So
Yeah.
now we'll see if Whippler's ready to play, because he could easily be the center in 2026.
That's
so
true.
if you've got Whippler, if Zinter comes around, and DeWan, it's looking a whole lot better. But if Whippler falls on his face and Zinter doesn't improve from what we saw last year, then it's a disaster.
Yeah.
I'm on ESPN.com right now.
Yeah.
These are the listed backups for the Browns starting offensive line.
By the way, for depth chart in the future, Our Lads is the best.
I'll go to Our Lads. It's right here. Okay.
Our Lads is better than ESPN.
They have the exact same backup offensive line. But at left tackle, the backup is Cornelius Lucas, who they signed this offseason to a one-year deal.
It was a 1-year deal, right?
Yep, he's a one-year deal. Behind Joel Batonio is Zach Zinter. Behind Ethan Pocic is Luke Whippler. Behind Wyatt Teller is Javion Cohen, the undrafted free agent last year out of the University of Miami, the Hurricanes, not the MAC school. And then Tevin Jenkins is the backup right tackle behind Jack Conklin.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Jenkins, who has experience, I'm not feeling good about it.
You think they could sign Jenkins after this year?
Probably. I mean, they didn't pay him that much.
They gave him guaranteed money, didn't pay him that much.
Yeah.
And I think he came to Cleveland for the opportunity to play and see if he can stay healthy.
Which is weird, though, because I know there were, the Bengals
Seattle
were interested.
and Cincinnati were both interested,
right, and
too.
he would have started there. So, I'm not sure. But, yes, I mean, there's certainly a lot of question marks this year and even more going forward with the Browns' offensive line. It's been an issue. It's funny. I would say over the last decade or so, decade plus, it's probably overall been the position that has been the strongest on this franchise.
They've invested a ton of money into it.
Yeah, but right now, there's a lot of red flags going forward for their offensive line. They're old. That's it. 4 of your 5 starters are 30 plus. Well, how old's Wyatt? Is he 30?
He's either 30 or about to be 30.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
So Wyatt is your second youngest starter on the line.
Teller's 30, turns 31.
Yeah.
And Ethan Pocic will turn 30 in August.
Okay, so he's the youngest.
He's 30.
Okay.
I'm calling
but
him
he'll
30.
be 30.
He'll be 30
So
when the season
your offensive
starts.
line are 30, 31, 32, 34. I mean, 4 of your 5
and
starters.
23
And then the
23.
fifth guy's injury prone.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, kudos to DeWan. It looks like he lost a lot of weight, so maybe that'll help him stay healthy this year. I mean, he's still a huge human being, but he clearly lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And his problem, I'm guessing, is in better shape. He clearly worked really hard this offseason.
We did a segment a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
What was it, Mike? The most important or the hot seat or what was it?
Who's under the most pressure?
That was it. I picked DeWan. This is a massive year for him.
Huge.
If he has a great year and balls out and stays healthy and keeps his weight under control, he'll go into the last year of his deal and he can ask for big money.
Absolutely.
And
he solidifies that left tackle position.
And
that's huge.
He answers a massive question at a time when they do have multiple first-round picks, at a time when they do have a bunch of questions across the line. It is a huge season.
If they don't have to worry about left tackle going into next year's draft, that'll be a massive win.
Yeah.
And if that happens, might end up being through 5 years the best pick of the Andrew Berry era, because if you get a starting left tackle in the
fourth round,
that saves you.
Yeah. All right, Mike.
All right, let's get on to our next topic, which is brought to us by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Summer sports are in full swing. Whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburnt at the beach. If you're new to FanDuel, check out this offer. New customers can bet $5 and win $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to get started. We started the show with some Guardians. We will get back to some Guardians now. The trade deadline later this month. Bob Nightingale, who covers Major League Baseball on a national level, mentioned a couple potential trade rumors he had been hearing, including the Guardians could be looking to move on from Emmanuel Clase, Carlos Santana, and Lane Thomas.
And by the way, the Guardians may not make the playoffs this year either.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if looking to move on from Emmanuel Clase is the right way to put it. Beyond Nightingale, these are obvious things.
Yes.
Okay? Lane Thomas, Carlos anybody that's contract is up at the end of this year is an obvious. The Guardians are sellers. That's the end of the conversation.
Yes.
Then they are going to be sellers. The question is, how far will they go with it? Clearly, you're going to move on from Santana in the next few weeks. Clearly, you're going to move on from Lane Thomas in the next few weeks. You should move on from Bieber. I don't. Who knows what they're going to do, and who knows how much value he has? But he's not going to be here next year. So what will be the point of keeping him? If a guy's a free agent, you get what you can get.
Yeah.
And listen, for Lane Thomas and Santana, you're getting nothing. Like
Close to it.
close to nothing.
You'll get an A-ball pitcher.
Not top 30 prospect. You're not.
No, Lord no.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm 27.
For
whatever.
either?
They're both
I'm
below average
asking,
players.
They're guys in the last year of their deal.
Carlos Santana's 40 and is a
You might
below
get
average producer.
You would get a reliever for Santana. You could get a reliever with 3 or 4 years of control. You could absolutely get a reliever.
For Santana?
Yes.
What do you mean a reliever?
A reliever out of Boston's bullpen. You could get a
Why
reliever.
would Boston trade for Santana?
Because they need a first baseman.
I don't know. Romy Gonzalez is as good as Santana at this point.
I don't know.
He's 40 years old, Jay.
Yeah, I
They're
know.
Gonna get, what? Who's going to give an act? I don't understand. Look at that. That's terrible.
They are going to trade Santana.
No, I know that, but I
they threw out.
don't think they're getting a major league player for him.
I'm not saying they're going to get Andrew Miller for him, but a reliever with 3 or 4 years of control is not that outrageous.
I don't know why it's even give up.
I just threw out a name of Boston. Let me look at their relievers.
I'm just saying, I don't know that Boston's bullpen's not very good, but
realistically, you're probably going to get a guy in A-ball or Double-A.
Yeah, and you're not getting much for Lane Thomas.
What would you get more for, Santana or Lane Thomas?
Lane Thomas. Although he's been hurt. He's hurt.
He's hurt
He's going
again.
to be hurt at the deadline.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get much for either one of them.
Supposedly he's going to be back quick, so maybe he'll be back before the deadline, but you're not getting much for
that's
either of them.
nasty work.
I mean, Thomas, outside of the series, what was it, the Detroit series he played well with the big home run? Outside of that, has he done anything in Cleveland?
Here's the thing. I don't buy that other teams look at Santana and Lane Thomas as starters anymore, really. Especially good teams. Santana's not a starter for a good team.
I mean, Seattle needs a first baseman.
Seattle's first.
They just DFA'd Rowdy Tellez.
Yeah, but I hear you. Santana's just a nothing.
Well, again, I'm not trying to build him out to be this great deadline acquisition, but there are teams out there who could use a very good defensive first baseman who can hit a little bit.
Yeah, I just think he's not enough of an upgrade that anybody would give up anything. But whatever. You're not going to get much. We all agree on that.
Yeah.
You're not going to get much from Lane Thomas. You're not going to get much for Bieber because he's not going to pitch before the deadline.
They can't even fleece nobody.
You're going to trade those 3 guys, no doubt.
That's really, when we talk about, you can talk about what a
Yeah.
horrible season this has been. The biggest disappointment or disaster in all of this is you just spent, what did they give Bieber, $14 million?
Yeah.
And he may not throw a pitch for you
And
all
by the
year.
way, I said it was a bad move at the time. People got pissed at me.
I didn't mind it at the time because you were making a move for October. It was a move for October. And now it's not going to work out.
Right.
But, I mean, you may have just given him $14 million, and he may not throw a pitch for you all year if you trade him.
And
certainly not a consequential pitch.
The question is, the biggest question is, will they trade Clase? And they're not in a position where they have to. They've got him under team control at a very cheap price.
I think they don't. I don't think they trade Clase.
I think if somebody makes them a great offer, they would, and they should.
I think they've been trying for 2 years, but no one's made him a great offer yet, and he's not having last year, obviously they weren't going to trade him last year. You're in contention. But coming off, he's been okay this year, but he's not anywhere close to as dominant as he's been.
No,
Jason,
but I think you're looking at some big market clubs that are feeling a little desperate right now. The Cubs obviously are having a great season, but they need some arms.
I think the A's tried
the
doing
Yankees
this,
are desperate.
but the A's tried this with Mason Miller, and they put a massive price tag on him over the last couple of years. and nobody came.
So
and
what do
met
you think
it.
that price tag is, just for the people out there who may not be as familiar? What do you think the price tag the Guardians are looking for?
I think the Guardians traditionally, as Jason said earlier, want to get quantity. They're looking to get 4 good prospects.
4. That's a lot of people.
Which maybe one is a top 10, top 100, top 100 type player, and then 3 guys that they like.
Yeah.
For one reason or another, and that's what they did in the Lindor trade.
The Lindor trade, well, it is very similar to Bieber. He was in the last year of his control, and it's sort of at that point you take what you can get.
Right. Well,
and but y'all have been telling them to trade him 2 years prior to that.
Yeah. Now Clase is going to bring back more because he's under team control and under cheap team control.
Yes.
Lindor was in the final year of his deal. It was COVID. It was a weird season, and that hurt his trade value. Even though he was a great player.
But I'm asking how, if they've been having Clase on the market, how much is he really going to bring back if they haven't pulled the trigger now? Wouldn't you think it would be more when he was, because he played better the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they shopped him last year. He was absolutely dominant, and during the season,
it was
dominant.
It was a gentleman shop.
I don't think they've considered trading him since the 23 into 24 offseason.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Right, and so we'll
24.
see. They're not desperate to move on from him.
No.
So they
that's why they can set a really high price, and if no one meets it, so be it. And I don't think anyone's going to meet it because he hasn't been as dominant as he was.
Probably not.
And again, I mean, no 2 front offices are always identical, but the fact that I think the A's have been trying this with Mason Miller for a couple of years now, and they're going nowhere, and they haven't been able to move him because no one's met that lofty price. I just don't think teams are interested in giving up what these teams are asking for a reliever.
Think about this, though. This is wild. So I'm not wishing this on nobody, but look, Jason said something about the luck. When you look at whether or not Bieber is coming back, and he was pitching well before he had the Tommy John. Then you have McKenzie, who just looked like he was going to sign a deal. All of a sudden, he has the elbow issue. Then you look at Ortiz. We don't even know if he's playing no more. Like, how quickly Boyd, you weren't going to sign him, you moved him out of here. Lively, elbow injury. Like, it seems like they had a bunch of crazy stuff happen with their bullpen where it's just like, does this happen all the time? This is like weird science.
I mean, there are more pitching injuries than ever across baseball.
Yeah.
The Ortiz situation is unique.
It's totally different. Yeah.
I
mean, Lively they got lucky with last year.
Yeah.
So that was
and he was pitching well this year before he got hurt.
He was. But that, to me, was found money last year. Nobody expected that out of him. Yeah. The McKenzie thing, I think, really hurt the organization. Again, they were hours from the extension, and now he's gone. Like, totally gone.
Zero.
So there's a guy who you were counting on to be a pillar of the organization, to be a pillar of this rotation, a front-end starter, maybe not a number 1, but certainly a 1A, 2 type starter, to totally – and that's part of the risk of baseball. Like, this going in with pitching injuries. The Bieber thing, he would have been traded already had he not gotten hurt last year. They would have dealt him last year at the deadline. Mm-hmm. But it's just, when you talk about free agent allocation dollars, they invested in him, and he may not throw a pitch for him this year now. Certainly not of consequence if he does stay with them through the deadline. I have a hard time believing this team's going to pull a Tigers from last year and make this incredible second half rally after selling. So either he doesn't throw a pitch for you or he doesn't throw a pitch of consequence, and you just gave him all that money in free agency.
Is that bit of – all right, so we would kill them the first half. Is that something that you could say, well, look, they can explain away and be like, look, we Tristan McKenzie, we did put $14 million on Bieber because we thought we were going to have a team that was in contention, and it just didn't work. Lively, we didn't know he was going to blow his elbow out. You know what I'm saying? Like, are these some things
every
that you
year
can
with
look
the Guardians? It's a lot of hoping, on unreliable things, there's been a lot of hoping with the offense. I mean, I get why they made the Bieber move. I didn't like it at the time, and it hasn't worked out, but I get why they did it, and I can understand why they did it.
How far are they out of the wild card?
6, I think. 5, 6 games. 7. And a bunch of teams in front of them, too. It's not only the number of
it's not
games.
just those. There are 4 teams between the Angels and where Cleveland is, but we wanted to make sure you guys knew where the Guardians were on that list.
Okay.
So forget about the playoffs. They're only like I think they're only a half game ahead of Baltimore for the third worst record in the American League.
That is correct, Bull.
So, and Baltimore's playing better lately, so they're going to fall back.
And I thought Baltimore was on the rise. What the heck is they doing?
They had, all their pitchers got hurt. They didn't
collapsed.
spend any money, and then their pitching completely collapsed. And their hitting wasn't good early in the season. Now they're hitting, but it hasn't been as good. But can we spend a minute talking about Matthew Boyd making the All-Star team?
Please, by all means. Go ahead.
Take your victory lap.
Now, I understand why the Guardians didn't sign him. I just thought Jason went over the top with the criticism for the contract.
He wasn't good.
But he had, first of all, spending $15 million on a pitcher these days is nothing per season.
Actually, it's Minimowski.
It is Minimowski. That's why I thought you made too big a deal about it. He hasn't been good until last year. Obviously, pitched great for the Guardians last year.
And like
in
4
eight
starts.
Eight starts.
Okay.
And honestly, since then, he's been a top 20 pitcher.
He's been excellent.
And he's been great this year, and he made the All-Star team. But Stephen Kwan also made the All-Star team. I'm not convinced Stephen Kwan should have been an All-Star.
Is that an alternate move or like?
I mean, Stephen Kwan's having a nice year, but he has no power. He plays great defense. He gets on base a decent amount.
What's his numbers look like?
I mean, his OPS is only slightly above average.
Yeah, he has 6 homers, 28 ribbies. He's hitting .298 with a 776 OPS.
Well, listen, man, he's leadoff guy. That's nice numbers.
Yeah, I mean, that's
nice.
fine.
Hey, shout out to Stephen Kwan. Hey, listen, keep stacking these up, young man.
I like Kwan. By the way, guys, I got a question for you, and Mike knows the answer. So, Jason, G, let's see if you can get it. Yesterday,
this is the stat I gave you.
No, but you can.
By the way,
Matthew
Boyd going into this year had a career record of 46 and 69 with a 4.85 ERA.
Our records don't count.
Get the record.
Okay, whatever number I give you, it's terrible.
Hey, look, ERA,
it's terrible.
I even know that ERA and record don't count no more.
The Cubs did? The Cubs put $100 on 11, and friggin' 11 just hit. It doesn't mean it was a good bet, but they got lucky on the bet.
I just think you overstated. You made it seem like they paid him $30 million a year.
Whatever. You won. You won. You were right.
What is the first letter?
No,
of
I
Jason's
didn't
last
think.
name?
I didn't love the move. I just didn't think it was as bad as you thought.
What's the first letter of Jason's last name?
I got 2 of them stacked up.
There you go.
Hold the L there.
What was the stat you wanted to give before I give this? Go ahead.
How many hits, Jason and G?
Yeah.
How many hits do you guys think Austin Hedges has since April?
Since April. Oh yeah.
2.5.
I would say 6.
Too many.
I say 2.5.
4?
5.
He got his 5th yesterday.
Oh.
I tweeted, "Hey, that was Austin Hedges' monthly hit." I thought I was exaggerating, but I really wasn't.
Man, I would like.
He's the worst player in baseball.
I would like to get in somewhere where they just pay you for nothing, bro. Just give it. Well, some people will say they do that now.
$4 million to be the worst player in baseball. He's getting
what was
paid,
your stat?
He's getting paid more than Paul Skeens.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's
unbelievable.
Baseball is
yesterday.
It's crazy.
I went out. So the World Series for the Little League starts this week, as I mentioned before, and I'm doing the announcing for the older kids and this guy Chuck.
The Little League World Series?
No, for Rocky.
Oh, I was like, dang, bro, that was kind of a big thing. Like.
No,
is like on ESPN. Like that was wild to me.
That would be cool. No, I'm just doing the announcing at the game.
Okay,
right?
okay.
So, and then shout out to one of my assistant coaches, Chuck Chandler, whose brother's John Chandler, who's on the sports in New York, and his uncle Nev Chandler, the legendary Browns broadcaster. Chuck was coached with me, great guy, and he's doing the announcing for the younger kids. But yes, so yesterday to make it special, I went down to the field when all 4 teams were practicing. And I interviewed all the kids and asked them questions about themselves and blah, blah, blah. And one of the questions I asked the kids was, who's your favorite baseball player? And not surprisingly, most of the kids picked Jose Ramirez. Mm-hmm. The second most was Stephen Kwan. The third most was kind of close between Clase, Shohei Ohtani, and Aaron Judge. Okay? Now, after that, there was a few people that got 1 vote each. But only one other, besides Clase, Ramirez, and Kwan, only one other current Cleveland Guardian got a vote from any of the 40 roughly kids that I talked to yesterday. Who is it?
Big Christmas.
No, he's not.
Hedges.
Austin Hedges.
Anthony's playing in the Rocky River Little League World Series.
It's a kid named Jack who's actually one of my son's best buddies. He plays catcher.
Oh.
And he said Austin Hedges. I'm like, you know he can't hit, right? And he's like, yeah, I know he's the worst hitter, but I like the way he catches.
Who would have thought? And I used to think that Mike Piazza was overrated when I was coming up. I was a big baseball fan. I was like, man, Mike Piazza, he don't even be doing nothing like that. And then
you were wrong about that.
And then then he's like the greatest. Like if you could get a catcher to hit anywhere near that now, you'd be like,
Cal Raleigh of the Mariners. This guy's got 30-something home runs. He doesn't hit for the batting average. Piazza's the best catcher I've ever seen in my life. Hitting catcher.
Defensively,
Rodriguez, he better than Rodriguez.
Hitting.
Pudge hit all right.
As an overall hitter, you include power and everything. Pudge is the best catcher I've seen, period, if you include defense. But I would put just hitting Piazza.
His numbers, I didn't realize.
Piazza?
Well, I knew it was I didn't realize he had that high of an average.
I mean, he was a broken 2x4 behind the plate.
Yeah, he couldn't move, but I'm just saying, listen, but
I just didn't realize his average. I knew his power numbers, RBIs. I didn't realize he had 362 one year.
So let me ask you, that's stupid. First of all,
I didn't even realize he had
why?
That's what I'm saying. I didn't realize it was that
What's his
high.
career batting average?
308.
That's
308 for a catcher.
Why? Hold on. Why are batting averages high? I get it. Steroids, whatever the case may be. That could do with home runs and power. But why are these dudes back then? Everybody's batting 330.
Well, the average batting average was in those days was still like 260 something. I think it's the top end guys that have completely cratered.
I mean,
you just have nobody cares about strikeouts anymore.
I would guess that there are less than 15 guys hitting 300 in all of baseball this year.
Oh, 100%.
I'll tell you right now.
Maybe
now,
less than
part
10.
of that is
maybe less than 10.
Part of that is the specialization.
There's
of pitching.
9.
There's 9.
Woo.
There's a couple guys in the high 290s.
Don't mention. Let's see if I can guess them in
All
a
right.
second. But it's going to be boring.
No. Let's see if he gets these.
All right.
And then we'll move on because we got a
Okay.
very interesting topic next on a video that caught G. Bush's attention this week.
All right. Part of that is the specialization of pitching. When we were kids, Jason, there were barely any players that threw high 90s, 100. Now there's like 2 guys on every team.
And the guy that did was Nolan Ryan was still throwing the ball 100 miles an hour. Well, at least we thought he was.
Yeah.
His mythical, like how fast is Bo
J.R.
Jackson.
Richard. Do you guys remember J.R. Richard from the Astros?
No.
Might be a little too young for even you.
No, I don't remember him.
J.R. Richard, I remember this guy. He had a short career, got hurt. But for a while, he was pitching with Nolan Ryan. He threw super hard. But, now, there was somebody that pitched against the Cubs this week. I can't even think of who it is. Maybe their closer, the Cardinals, Ryan Helsey. He threw a pitch 103, and I was like, well, whatever.
And we used to think
That
Armand.
Mizorowski just threw 103, didn't he?
That guy's
Yeah.
nasty.
He's awesome. Boy, you got 90 seconds
All right, go
to
ahead.
try and name the 9 players hitting 300 right now.
That's a lot of pressure. All right, Luisa Rise.
Luisa Rise is not one of them.
What?
I'm on ESPN's Major League
Aaron
Batting.
Judge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kyle Tucker.
No.
Wilson.
Jacob Wilson, yes.
Jacob, good job out of you. Jacob Wilson. Shohei Ohtani.
No.
Wow.
Joey's not hitting 300?
No, he's just shy.
Freddie Freeman.
Yes.
30
30 seconds in.
You want help?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Shortstop for the Astros, Jarrett Pena.
Oh, Jeremy Pena.
Yes.
Bobby Witt.
Oh,
No.
Michael Garcia.
Yes.
Michael Garcia. Good
Yeah.
job out of you.
That's 5.
Doing
That's
better
all,
than me.
that's all I got.
Man, it's not coming to me.
You're missing a catcher.
Oh, it's Cal Raleigh?
Nope.
Will Smith.
Nope. You're missing a catcher, a center fielder, and a first baseman.
Oh, Carson Kelly.
Nope.
William Contreras.
Nope.
Dang.
This player, 15 seconds. This player's been mentioned in today's show already.
The catcher?
Yep. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, no.
Alejandro Kirk is hitting 301.
That's
Jonathan Aranda,
Yep.
and Jake Myers are the others.
Oh, I would
Jake
never
Myers.
guess Jake Myers.
Houston.
Wow, I can't believe Ohtani is not hitting 300.
297.
Quan's hitting what, 298?
Quan's at 298, yes.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get on to our next
Go
topic
ahead.
here while Bull ponders how
That's crazy.
they are not hitting over 300. It's brought to you by Game Time. If you decided at the last minute to head to the ball game with friends or family, maybe it's game day, and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands, that's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got some incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worrying out of buying. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
By the way, I got to give you this quick stat because I saw this the other day. Shohei's only hitting 278. Wow. You know how guys strike out like crazy amount now? Mm-hmm. Jason, how many in the 1990s, so 10 years, how many times do you think Tony Gwynn struck out in the 1990s? Now, to put it into perspective, like Aaron Judge, who's the best hitter in baseball, for this decade, he'll probably strike out 2,000 times. At least over 1,700.
Gwynn over 10 years, I would say
213.
No, I would say like 50, 45 to 50.
Oh, you went too far.
I thought 4 or 5 a year.
He had 188 strikeouts.
That's
now that doesn't seem that great because you said such a low number, but
I mean,
That's still pretty great.
That's-
I mean, it's 18 a year.
That's crazy.
20 a year.
It's 19 a year.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of
Bobby Jinks died.
crazy things that catch your eyes, like eye-popping stats, G. Bush put this tweet out over the weekend that caught my eye. G. Bush said, Shedeur turns heads with must-see viral training videos.
Nobody does
Barbershop
headlines better
Sanders.
than G. Bush.
He is the king of headlines. And then this was the video that G was referring to. So, G, I'm going to play the video, and I want you to explain to the guys what you thought about this particular training video was eye-catching and turned your head. So the floor is yours, G. What's up with this video?
Hey, man, listen. So first of all, I feel like, shout out to Earl because he's seen this a little bit. He was with my man Cecil Shorts. It looks like he done tweaked his throwing motion a little bit. It looks like he's already accurate, but it looks like he's getting a little more velocity on these footballs, moving around. But more than that, I like that one right there. That was a laser. He looking crisp out there. But more than anything, you know what I liked? He had the brown helmet on. He could have wore any helmet he wanted to in the world. He could have had the Colorado Buffalo helmet. He could have been out there in just some. He didn't even have to put a helmet on. You know what? I think that was dope. You're like, yeah, you listen. I think he locked in. I think he's realizing, like, look, he's thinking more long term. A lot of times, like we look at it and people's like, look, hey, is he going to start day one? Is he going to start this week? Going to start next week? How many games he going to start? I just feel like it's dope because he got the Browns helmet on. He in Florida. It's almost like, I explained it to McNuggets. It's like, the first time you go off to college somewhere and you come back and you playing a pickup game and you got your team gear on. Mm-hmm. You're around the fellas. You're hanging out. You like, this is what we be doing over here. This is the way we be rolling. He just representing the city. So to me, I was like, now I did see Cam Ward. Cam Ward went back to Miami, and he had his helmet on for the Tennessee Titans. But I just think it just shows that, like, he's thinking of this more long term. He's thinking of it being more comfortable in his skin, coming out being like, hey, look, I'm going to work on my game. I could be doing a lot of other things right now. I could be running around drag racing or doing whatever I need to do or being in, buying clothes or something. But a couple of days before we're ready to lock and load, I think it's dope that he out there in the middle of the night in the rain, throwing the football, working on his game with the Browns helmet on, letting people know I'm out here representing for the whole city. I'm representing. I like the fact that he's energetically proud to have the Browns helmet on. We talk about it a lot of times about people that want to be here. Like, oh, we want guys that want to be here. We want guys like he could have did this and had no helmet on. I like the fact that he's saying, listen, y'all get used to the Cleveland Browns and you get used to me wearing this helmet because the Browns ain't the old Browns no more. We about to make the Browns look nice. We about to swag these Browns out. And I just like the fact that he was out there putting that work in, representing the city. So for me, I don't think he's looking at it like, oh, if I don't start week 1, it's some travesty. If I don't start week 5 or 6, I think he out there just comfortable and being like, man, listen, I'm out here just putting work in and I'm gonna get my opportunity. But believe me, even if you were a detractor, that's cool. I'm gonna win people over. But I'm still a Cleveland Brown. That's what I liked about it.
Jason?
Can't do it.
Come on.
I can't get excited over a video.
There you go.
No.
When
it's 3 dudes throwing against air.
And man, it was beautiful, man. You see him drop back.
I mean, there's nothing negative about
You
it.
see the helmet?
I'm not.
Putting that work
I get
in,
what
bull.
you're saying about wearing the Browns helmet. That's fine. And that's good. If it gets you excited, good. That's good.
Yeah.
We all listen. Everybody wants Shedeur Sanders to play well, or whoever plays with the Browns quarterback. That's a reality. If you're not rooting for the team. If you don't want them to play well, there should be no agendas when it comes to anything. Everybody should look at it fairly. I'm not going to get excited about a practice video. I do think I will say, listen, when I see Deshaun Watson, when he was still on, a viable player, and I would see him doing dancing videos, it would annoy me. So I'm like, okay, I like that he's practicing. That's good. He should be. That's a positive.
It doesn't piss me off.
I got nothing negative to say. I'm just not going to get excited about it. And you know what? It is smart. I don't know if he did this on purpose. He should practice in the rain a lot because there's bad weather here.
Yeah.
He should try to practice in bad weather. I mean, you can't get, you'd have to go to like Alaska to practice in snow right now. But practicing in the rain is good because you're going to have rainy, windy, crappy conditions here.
Hey, you know what?
You got to be prepared.
You know what I will say about what I'll say about it, Jason. I don't know. I majored in marketing in college.
Yeah. I like the shorts. I like
this guy. This guy is a marketing savant.
He certainly is.
Because the fact that he was like, listen. They said everything we always talk about that 4th of July weekend, right? Mm-hmm. People want to get away. People in the media get away. He's like, oh no, y'all not gonna forget about me. I'm gonna drop this. He's wearing lime green shorts, the cutoff with the Browns helmet with the visor, and then guess what?
Gee, it's the one sleeve cutoff too.
Yes, the onesie. And he's out there, and look, these angles, you saw they set in the camera? These angles just make it look like it's effortlessly. Like, look, he's looking step, that one right there, you're like, oh my gosh, that's Patrick Mahomes.
That's true.
That look like Mahomes. Look how he said, yeah, we're going to get that angle like there. That's how we're going to roll with that. He was in there cutting this up. They was like, hey, we're gonna, hey, this is going to look great. And he's a marketing dude. He finds a way to endear itself to people, which I love that it's calculated because it takes a lot. Because you could get some backlash from you putting yourself out there, but when you embrace it, he's just like, this is what it is. I'm out here. I don't even know where he is. I don't know where is this at. Is this a football field, the back of a motel? I don't know.
Yeah, there is one angle where it looks like the back of a motel.
They in the rain photo,
like there,
right there. I'm like,
going on
is that a church?
Yeah, right.
Is this like, are there missionaries there? Like, and then they had somebody in the stands taking it. Yeah, let's get them raindrops.
Yeah.
We got to make sure it's raining.
Oh
right here.
yeah.
Hey, listen, look at him. Like, he got it. He out there making it look good. Shout out to him, man.
Gee, you said Shedeur is the master of marketing. I just want to give you once again kudos for Steve. Take the tag board full again here, but just
can
kudos
Shedeur become?
This is a headline of all headlines.
Can he make the Browns cool again?
Hey, listen.
It's actually a good question.
NBCA, make Browns cool again.
Oh, he's already done that. He got the #1 jersey. Like, here's the thing. Like, when you look at the cool nature of it, like when I saw a clip of him going to talk to these kids, right? Or it was the kids that was on the field. Where was that at? I don't know. They had the rookies there, right? Then they let Shedeur go last.
Yeah.
They just went crazy. Oh my gosh! I'm like, listen, you can't do that. Like, these kids was passing out. Like, I'm like, the thing about it is, and I think sometimes we see it and we be like, all right, we've had LeBron here. We've had Baker Mayfield here. We've had Deshaun Watson here. Heck, Odell Beckham Jr. is here. I think the different level of why he's so marketable is because he pulls up in these little regular spots and just be showing love. Like, you'd be like, why? You're not going to see Odell Beckham Jr. not pulling up like that. I don't even think he did interviews. Did he do local interviews?
Did he do?
I got one of the first local interviews.
I remember that.
Yeah. I did a one-on-one
How'd that
at
go?
his camp when he first came to town.
How'd that go?
It actually went. He was very nice, very friendly. We actually had a very interesting conversation off the air, and where I liked him coming in because Dustin and I were pounding the table to trade for him at the time, and then when I was very excited when they got him. I already liked him coming in, and then I won't get into the details of it, but we had a very interesting and different conversation off the air for like 5 minutes before he did the interview with me. And I liked him even more after that. I thought he was very, when it comes to some real life issues, I thought he was very thoughtful and cool. So I liked it. And obviously it didn't work out in the end. But
I was arguing with my brother, and he was like, "Man, I don't know if you could do that." I said, "Shedeur is already top 4 most famous. Like, if you had to do a Mount Rushmore of famous people in Cleveland, is he in the top 4?
Like currently in
All
Cleveland
time or
all
right
time
now?
in Cleveland?
We talk about all time.
no. All time?
All time.
LeBron.
So let's do the exercise.
Jim Brown. Well,
Okay.
We're doing all time.
Okay, well, I didn't expect you to say Jim Brown.
Kyrie Irving.
I mean, Bernie.
Bernie.
Dude's never played a game.
They never played a game yet.
We're not even 100% sure he's on the roster yet.
You know
Let's
what?
not put him
Hold
on
on.
the top
If you
4.
said right now, I'd buy it.
I'm just
right
saying.
now.
No, I'm just.
Right now, he's top 4.
Even though he hasn't played a game, I'd still say right now.
I didn't listen.
But not all time.
The 90s Indians guys?
Gee, is he the second most popular Brown right now?
Yeah.
Right?
How are we defining popularity?
If he
me a
walked,
difference.
all right. If he walked down, all right. Here's how
G,
here's
I'm
how we
actually-
decide
I'm actually with G
popular.
on this one.
Here's how we decide popular. Can you walk through a mall leisurely and not cause no issues?
Here's the problem, though. Basketball players, even if they're not that famous, are going to stand out more because they look physical. Like Shedeur, if you saw him and you didn't really he doesn't look physically unusual.
No, I would actually, I'd probably agree with, but if he's the second most famous now, how can you put him on the top 4?
Well, no, look,
if he's number 2 now.
But here's the scary part. Like you said, he ain't played no games.
He has,
like how you number 2? You ain't played no games.
he is the most popular late draft pick ever, maybe. Before he's played a game, certainly.
Like, if you're Cam Ward, you're like, bro, I went first.
Yeah,
he's like,
nobody's talking
no
about
one cares.
him.
I've not seen no Cam Ward. Where's the highlights at?
I agree. I mean, you could make an argument that he is the second most popular Browns player right now.
It's Miles than him. I don't think there's even an argument.
No, probably not.
But I can't put him on the all-time popular.
well,
No, he's
that's
not all
absurd.
time. He's
Well,
not all
well,
time.
here's the thing. This is when we do power levels, right?
Yeah.
So Odell Beckham Jr. had to catch. Jim Brown is Jim Brown, and LeBron won a ring.
Yeah.
If you could even say that you're the second most popular dude moving right now,
Which is crazy.
They were 3 and 14 last
3
year.
and 14, fifth
There's
round
not going to
pick.
be a lot to pick
Yeah.
from.
Have not seen no. Can you imagine if he throws a few touchdowns?
If Shedeur ends up being a great player for the Browns, if he get even great, if he ends up being a very good player for the Browns, it's like Bernie, that level. You know, teams in the playoffs, very good player, not a Hall of Famer, but just a really good player. Yeah, he'll be an all-timer in Cleveland. No, 100%.
Because Bernie, look, like Bernie said, Bernie can't pull like. Somebody was said, I was telling my dad, he was like, I thought that was Bernie over there. I said, Bernie can't go to no regular gas station like that, bro.
I bet you Bernie goes to regular gas.
I'm just saying, I'm saying that's
without
how
being recognized. No,
without
Bernie's
being
gonna get
recognized.
Yeah,
like no, there's somebody like there's no way that Shedeur Sanders could just walk through a mall.
Probably not. The only reason he could is because he's not like Bernie's way taller than Shedeur Sanders. So it's more noticeable, his height, whereas Shedeur is
I think Shedeur could put a hat on and pull the hood up.
He probably could, yes.
Because he ain't that big.
No, right. He's not abnormal. Like, he's just a normal size guy.
Now listen,
tall,
no disrespect to. All right, so let me put some respect on his name.
Yeah.
No disrespect to LeBron or Uncle Drew. Like LeBron said, I'm coming back home, and just had people show up for a party at Akron Rubber Bowl. Like, was like, yeah, I'm coming home. I'm gonna
in 2014, that thing at the Infozition?
Yeah, like, that's wild. Like, now I'm just sitting back looking at it.
There was thousands of people.
How is thousands of people? He's not doing nothing. He ain't playing no games. He just came back to get on a microphone and be like, yo, yeah, I'm in a spot. And they're like, yeah, thousands of people.
I mean,
He's super
I
famous.
was there that night. What's Infozition hold? What's Infozition Stadium in Akron hold? Like 30,000?
30,
I'll look it up
40,
one sec.
maybe?
There was probably, there was at least 10,000 people there.
LeBron
That's
can't
wild.
go anywhere.
30,000.
Right, anywhere.
30.
There was at least 10,000
How
people
many
there that
security
night.
people does he have with him at all times?
Not as many as you think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're just bigger than you think.
I mean, he had one guy. I told the story, right? About his one guy.
The biggest
I'm glad you got that, G. No, tell a story.
He's not with him. He's not with them anymore. But his one longtime security guy.
Yeah, what happened?
We were coming off the court in Washington. We were in Washington, and that's when he hit that crazy shot. Like cross-court pass, Kevin. LeBron catches in the corner.
Yeah.
Three. If you find it, you'll know what I'm talking about. I think that game went to overtime. They win the game. And it just so happened that the way that I was walking the media room, he was coming off the floor. And this is right after the game.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get away from him, and he keeps talking to me, and he's talking about he's just juiced.
Yeah.
And he's talking about the game and talking, and I'm like, you got to go. You got to go. I got to go. You got to go. And he just kept talking. His security guard, I'm not a small guy.
Yeah.
His security guard picked me off the ground with one arm. I was off, like my feet were dangling, and moved me.
How big was this guy?
Not as big as you would think, but
Bro,
big
He's
enough.
strong as an ox.
Strong, and
Bro.
he was a cool dude. Like, he and I were good.
Yeah.
Bro.
And LeBron went in the locker room, and he
Yeah.
apologized. He was like, I'm sorry. I know that was, I had to separate you guys so that he would go. I know you weren't doing anything wrong, but I had to remove you from him so that he would go do what he's supposed to do. I was off the ground with one arm.
Man.
Why is that? Now I need to know why that guy's not with him anymore.
Whoa.
I always told him, I said, like, man, you got to write a book. We got to write a book.
Yeah.
And he's like, no way.
No, yeah.
But
two more.
You don't
Yeah.
get gigs like that if you're writing books.
Yeah, I
Well,
know.
I guess you could retire from that.
I forgot his name.
Man, if he wrote a book about LeBron.
Good dude. He was a good dude. I like him
Two more
a lot.
things, and then
Yeah.
we'll get to our last Cavs topic. But more popular in Cleveland right now, Shedeur or Jose?
That's messed up. Because Jose Ramirez is a borderline Hall of Fame player, but I'm going to have to say Shedeur Sanders. It's messed up.
In Cleveland, Jose.
Yes.
Nationally, Shedeur.
Yes, I agree.
And then lastly, Steve Becker wanted me to ask you guys if you think Shedeur will end up on the Browns' Mount Rushmore.
Man, you trying to set me up. That's crazy.
No, I would say no.
I don't think so.
I mean, the odds of the Browns, that means he has to be.
A Hall of Famer.
No, he had not. No, he's talking about LeBron could arguably be the greatest basketball player.
No, he said the Browns Hall of Fame.
Oh, I thought you meant
Browns-
the Cleveland Hall of Fame.
On the Browns' Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
I mean,
You got to be a Hall of Famer.
Dude.
Yes.
I mean, there's Marion Motley. Our whole gym is named after. I can't say that. Jim Brown. There's Joe Thomas. I mean, Joe Thomas might be one of the best offensive linemen ever. Luke Rosa won how many championships?
Miles Garrett.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have the
Chubb,
same
Blake
conversation.
Matthews.
Yeah.
We could have the same conversation about Mason Graham, Quinshon Judge. Like, we could do any player that hasn't played yet end up on the
No,
Browns.
you bet against any of them.
Yeah, I mean, and that's no knock against them. I
Yeah.
mean, you just have to. All you got to do is just be better than Miles Garrett.
I have to admit, to use a cool kid's word, I'm low-key shocked that Garrett didn't say yes.
I'm stunned right now.
We found the line. We found the line.
Hey, Marion Motley.
Jason, you're high-key shocked.
Marion
I mess that up?
like it's Marion Motley and Jim Brown.
I mean,
like
doesn't Paul Brown have to be
Paul
on there?
Brown,
Miles Garrett.
Miles Garrett.
Joe
Come on,
Thomas,
Paul
like,
Warfield.
I
I ain't crazy.
speaking of kid slang, I dropped a side-bow on my kids the other day.
I know what that is.
And they lost their minds because
What's this-
I'm up on.
Oh, you mean you just use that term?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Shut your
Yeah.
Oh.
B ass up
Nice.
and
Side-bow?
Side-bow. That's
Good
what
job
the
of
kids.
you.
And I dropped it, and like all their friends were howling. So,
Attaboy, Jason.
yeah.
All right,
I
last
give him
topic
a
of the day.
skibbity.
Skibbity, nice.
Make sure you hit the like button,
Riz.
hit the subscribe button, check out the Ultimate Guardian show from this morning. We got some more ultimate shows coming up later this week. Earlier today, there was a 3-team trade in the NBA. Norm Powell is being sent from the Clippers to the Heat. John Collins is going from the Jazz to the Clippers. And Kyle Anderson, Kevin Love, and a 2027 Clippers second-round pick is headed to the Utah Jazz.
Nobody wants to go to the Jazz.
Kevin Love is expected to be bought out of his contract with the Jazz with the hopes of signing with a contender. The Cavs do have one open roster spot left. Kevin Love has since tweeted, "I never expected to be a math problem."
I saw that. I was going to mention that. I'm glad you caught that.
Welcome to the NBA. So my question to you guys is, with one roster spot open, should the Cavs have any interest in a possible reunion with one Kevin Love?
Isn't he done? I mean, what does he have left in the tank?
Well, at least you know he works out. He in shape. If you on the Miami Heat roster, they got running tests and body fat competitions. I'm like, what?
He was just
Wasn't Kevin Love his best when he was fat in Minnesota?
It's pretty good.
Statistically speaking, yes.
But they was on a terrible team.
That's true.
Yeah.
He was just working out with LeBron in New York a couple weeks ago. They had all the
But he
video
hated
footage.
LeBron.
Dude, don't ever
It's a
try.
weird
Don't ever
relationship.
try and figure out how athletes feel about each other.
Bro, you know you got friends. Like, it's just like saying I thought we were all cool with each other in the media.
Well, no, it's the opposite. I'm saying I thought he hated LeBron.
No, I'm just saying. But if you were on a panel with somebody,
Yeah.
and you don't necessarily like them,
I think it's one of those things where I don't think he ever hated him.
Yeah.
They definitely had rough spots, and I think they've been away for. When you get away from them, you forget the things you didn't like, and you remember the things you did like.
human nature. You
know?
do accentuate all the great
And in
things.
a situation like that, LeBron was tough on him.
LeBron was
But they
And
won.
LeBron's not going to be tough on him in a situation where they're just
And he got them. Listen, they got Miami to talk about now. They can say, I know Spo and Pat Riley. They got things in common. They both won championships. He got him a new contract. See, you can get mad at LeBron, but he gets everybody paid. Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith, Kevin Love,
I
Shumpert.
don't know that I don't buy that he got Kevin Love paid. Definitely the other guys.
I wrote a story in like 2017, 18 on the amount of contracts he was directly responsible for. Those guys you're talking about, it totaled more than he made in his career.
But
Facts.
do you include Kevin Love in that group?
No.
I don't
No.
agree with
But when he left, the Cavs did sign Kevin Love because they didn't have nobody else.
Right, but
Kyrie and him was gone.
That was a bad.
You said that was a bad deal.
I think they were thinking, well, in Minnesota, when he was the guy, he put up great numbers.
I think they were thinking Miami, actually, when LeBron left. And they held on to Bosh and Wade.
Right.
And when LeBron left here, they were going to hold on to Kevin, and they wanted something to build around.
Yep.
And all that. But, it whatever. It's
Indirectly,
water.
he got it.
So would you bring him back? That's the question.
I would bring back Tristan before I brought back Kevin. If you got one spot left, and you're looking for that veteran nastiness, like leader, toughness type locker room guy, championship experience guy, just for me, I'd bring back Tristan before I brought back Kevin. Just me,
It
personal
didn't
preference.
end well with Kevin here, right?
It did not. That was more of a JB thing. I mean, I think at times Kevin was aggravated with pretty much everybody in the organization at one point or another. At the end of it, it was a JB thing more than anything, I think. And they were really tight. They're probably okay now. Like, it was just in that moment, sort of
Right,
like LeBron and Kevin. So, no, I wouldn't say it was. I mean, the whole thing was sort of up and down, right? Like,
Because the 1 year before, he was really good for him. Like, he was playing his tail off. You're like, man, Kevin Love really turned out to be good.
and he had outbursts that I think he would tell you he wasn't proud of. And when you're trying to win a championship, man, you don't have. And I'm like, there was nothing like that in Miami the last couple of years. Like, he was just a end of the bench guy and a veteran guy. But it's just personal preference. I think Tristan is a better fit than Kevin.
You got to have
Maybe
one
he'll
good
go out
one.
to the Lakers and play with LeBron again.
Maybe
There wouldn't be any expectations for him to do anything.
if LeBron's on the Lakers.
Oh, what you saying?
I'm just if I had to bet,
Yeah.
I'd bet LeBron's on the Lakers. But
If you had to bet, we went through this already, but if you had to bet on what team he's most likely to be on besides the Lakers, what would it be?
Knicks.
That hurts. Because I heard the money just match up. I heard they could do LeBron for Cat straight up.
Yeah, we talked.
They
We
can.
talked
We
about
did
that
that on
last
Friday.
week.
Yeah.
They can or they can't.
Can.
Cat for LeBron straight up works.
Yeah,
Are the Knicks an overwhelming favorite in the East if that happens?
they're a strong favorite.
Oh, it's a wrap.
They're a strong.
Now it's no
favorite.
guarantee.
I mean, we
At
could-
his age, you never know.
I mean,
Correct.
but
They got a lot of guys you need to count on to stay healthy who haven't historically always been healthy. But
Mitchell Robinson,
OG Anunoby.
he is the OG.
But I don't like that. But that's too much. You got Anunoby, he's physical. Then Mitchell Robinson. Then you still got Hart, and then Brunson always gives us buckets. And you got LeBron. No,
If you're
Mikal Bridges,
LeBron,
come on.
the only thing that makes sense is the Knicks or the Cavs, honestly, because
The Knicks would have no bigs if they traded Cat.
yeah,
It should be just Mitchell Robinson, and then
I mean, is Cat a big?
yeah.
he averaged 14 rebounds last year.
I
He's
mean,
big. He's big.
Is there a big they can get
Pause.
cheap that's a decent player?
At that point, I think they're right up against the apron. I'd have to do some more digging into their financial situation
now
to know who they
McNuggets.
can sign.
I heard. Are the Cavs? Can the Cavs do a 3-team deal?
Cavs can do any deal they want.
Didn't the Durant trade end up being like a 17
17
trade?
deal. First ever 17.
I mean, that's
deal.
just ridiculous.
Like
crazy.
that's why I be telling them they got these Ivy League dudes in back rooms with abacuses and calculators like this. I'm telling you, you can get it done. All you need.
They have guys who they're a capologist. Their
Yeah.
whole job is to manipulate the salary cap.
That's wild.
LeBron, if you're LeBron and you leave the Lakers, you want to go to the East. The East is
Yes.
wide open.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
to.
nobody. I mean, you can say the Warriors, but I would be shocked if that was the play.
Would he go to Milwaukee to play
No.
with Giannis? No.
He go.
Under no
So
circumstances.
it's Cleveland and New York, right?
I would think.
I
so.
think so.
You think he trolling, man? And he said, and they said, he's like, yo, I live here. I be practicing back here all the time. How rare is it for NBA players to practice at another team's indoor facility?
I think it's extremely rare, but he's LeBron, so he can.
He could just pull up, like, yo, what's up?
So legally, I looked into this, and Jason, I'm not sure to the frequency, but if you are an NBA player in the NBA PA, you have access in the offseason to any team's practice facility.
Oh,
So
But it-
how often it happens,
it
I
doesn't
don't
happen
know.
very- I don't
The
believe it happens
frequency,
very often.
I don't know.
Because when you see these guys working out together, they're not.
yeah.
They're in random.
It's usually
gyms.
like
Right,
Chris
right.
Brickley's gym or
Yeah.
at one of
Random
these
What's
undisclosed
funny
spots.
and not surprising because we talked about it last Thursday. We were saying, in a couple of days, LeBron's going to say, "Oh, you guys made a big deal out of nothing," even though he stirred the pot.
Did you see his tweet?
And that's exactly
Yes.
what happened.
Yeah, he loves doing stuff like that.
I mean, he stirs the pot, and then he's like, "Guys, come
Come on, enjoy your 4th of July,
Yeah,
dog.
right,
Like,
right,
you do something with your family, go to fireworks. I'm just chilling.
The thing with Allie too was when he put on Instagram with
Yeah.
Allie and the
But-
Allie Clifton and the Cavs jerseys, and
Both jerseys.
so
I didn't even
he's-
realize that was Allie Clifton.
Yeah,
She looked terrible in that picture. No offense.
she's on vacation at the lake.
Real quick before we get to Super Chats.
Not a fan of her husband.
What's the matter with never mind.
Joe Smith, right?
No,
No, that's Allie.
Allie LaForce.
Oh,
That's Allie
wrong
LaForce.
Allie. Sorry, Allie Clifton.
Real quick, if it came down to
You look great,
I
Allie.
can't take you anywhere.
My
Why
bad.
you can't have
If
that
it
night?
came
My
down to
blood
Tristan-
pressure just doubled,
I
and I had
was
7
thinking
strokes.
of Allie LaForce. I wanted to rip
As
her.
Bull says, I don't like her husband. I'm like, oh God, where's
I
this
wanted.
going
To,
now?
I'll say what?
I meant to rip Allie LaForce.
I didn't know.
like
I didn't
Joe
know. I
Smith.
was like, I didn't know she was married.
I had a
didn't
bad
know.
interaction with Joe Smith.
If it came down
Oh,
to Tristan Thompson or Kevin Love for that final spot, Bull, who would you go with? You heard
Tristan
Jason.
Thompson.
You would go Tristan Thompson? G.
Obviously, there's more to it with Kevin Love that Jason can't talk about. So whatever.
I don't know. Give me T-Top. I don't know about his. His name is kind of crazy, but I never got into the T-Top. This is the first time I said
And
it.
I look bad all the time. So, not just on
I'll give me
vacation.
Tristan Thompson, man.
Allie LaForce is a sweet lady.
She's fine. Her husband.
She's
Allie,
jerk
I
to
went
me,
to
so I
I
don't
went to school with Allie LaForce. Shout out to the Bobcats. Man.
Allie's awesome.
She used to play basketball.
She did.
Yeah.
Good for her.
All right, we got a bunch of Super Chats to wrap up today's show.
Yeah.
First one comes from Chef Brian K., who says, "My wife jumped out of a plane parachuting in Vegas years ago, attached to a former Playgirl Playguy of the Year. I told her to invite him for dinner so I could stay in the casino, LOL."
Well, All right.
Good for you.
And
You're
shout out
you're
to-
an open-minded guy.
Shout out to y'all's relationship.
I was not attached to a Playmate of the Year. When
Like,
I jumped out of the plane.
they put that in your plate, like balls in your court.
let's get
So
that
I
on the
was
record.
not. That's not what I was doing, though. That's not.
Except when the instructor I was attached to said, like,
Yeah.
whatever you do, like, don't pull your arm back or something because it'll send us into a spin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, that's the worst thing you could have told me because I want to spin. So I kept like, but
Out of your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I was like 20, 21. And finally,
Yeah.
he had to like take my arms and hold them because I kept wanting to spin.
Does anybody-
But I guess you could like die.
Dude,
does,
you're out of your mind.
Does
You are
anybody know?
crazy.
Does anybody know if you die jumping out of an airplane? Does that null and void your life insurance?
I'm sure at 20, Jason didn't have life insurance.
I did not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Does it? That's because I would be like, yo,
Probably would, G, because it's a risk.
Yeah,
That
but so
is-
what?
No,
You'd have
I don't
to-
think-
You would have to agree to it ahead of
No,
time.
Somebody
unless,
Google that.
Unless it was specifically written in your policy that
Correct.
you couldn't do it.
Yes. I think that's the
I
correct
think
answer.
the only thing that would null and void your insurance is if you committed suicide.
And I don't even know if that. I don't know if that's totally accurate.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah,
that's
authorities
different.
on it. Go ahead.
We got a couple from Charles T.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read two. We could react to the two, then I'll read the next two.
Okay.
Because the first two are kind of tied together. Question for everybody. All of the 2026 quarterback prospects played against the quarterbacks drafted in 2025, and none of them outperformed or outshined the 2025 class. So why do people say the 2026 quarterbacks are better when none have proven that in their first season on the field? Arch Manning couldn't even beat out Quinn Ewers, who was drafted in the 7th round. Is he just all media talk? Is it what they don't have less competition? I don't get it.
Who knows? Well, the top prospects now might not be the top prospects by the time we get to the end of the year.
NFL teams, I think, look for different things than what fans look for
That's
in college quarterbacks. I mean,
right.
Charlie Ward was a great college quarterback. Ken Dorsey was a phenomenal college
Tim
quarterback.
Tebow.
Like the list goes on and on and on and on. It doesn't
Tommy,
mean that's
what was that guy from Hawaii that threw a
what- Chang,
Timmy
Timmy
Chang.
Chang,
Timmy Chang,
Timmy
yeah,
Chang.
yeah.
He died recently, R.I.P.
Did he?
Yeah.
So did Bobby Jenks, as G. Bush.
saw
Remember
that.
Bobby Jenks was the closer
Yeah.
of the White Sox championship
Big
team.
Bobby Jenks.
Big
I was just
cancer.
listening to Todd McShay does his summer like scouting report stuff,
Yeah.
and he was at the passing academy, which by the way sounds awesome. Like shout out to the Mannings for doing that
Yeah.
year after year. It sounds like a really cool event.
he loves Garrett Nussmeier now.
He likes Klubnik more. The Clemson kid.
Clubbing is like
Again,
number one.
we're a long way till next year's
No,
draft.
that's
The guys
the
who are
only-
going to be the top quarterback prospects are going to change.
Not necessarily what I was getting at. What
Yeah.
he had said was after talking to a couple GMs and scouts down there, they are more high on the mental side of the 2026 quarterback class than the physical side. He's like, none of these guys at this point of the
Yeah.
stage, he mentioned Lenora Sellers maybe being the one exception, have like that, oh my God, do you see player X throw the football? His arm is once in a generation. They like a lot of the mental makeups of the guys. But we're 12 months out, or 11
Right.
months
Plus,
out from the
there's
draft.
these guys are younger. They may not have been as good this past year, and maybe with another year of development, they're going to get
I
better.
mean, Burrow's the textbook case of that. Whoever thought Joe Burrow would be the number one pick going into his last year at LSU?
Certainly nobody.
Yeah.
And then he was a no-brainer.
And you know what? They may all flame out. We may get here a year from
Right.
now and go, oh my God, these guys all suck again.
And the Browns have all this ammunition, and what
And,
good does it
and
do?
nothing to spend
I don't
on.
know.
It very well could.
Yeah.
That could happen.
Yeah.
Shout out to Evan419. I killed the wrong former Hawaii quarterback. Timmy Chang is still alive.
Good.
Colt
Make
Brennan.
Timmy Chang great again.
Colt Brennan, the other Hawaii quarterback
Oh, God.
that threw for a gajillion yards.
I didn't know he had passed.
He did pass away, so R.I.P. Colt Brennan. Thank you, Evan419, for that. Sly also donated 20 memberships today, so shout out to Sly.
Nice job.
Two more from Charles T. Booby, who says, so media gets excited if the video was of Shedeur in the club kicking it or getting a ticket, but they won't get excited seeing him work out and trying to get
Jesus
better.
God in heaven.
No, I don't think. Listen, I'm a little more different. I'm easily excitable. I don't think I don't think their display that their faces mean that they're not. Most media people, most normal people aren't going to get excited about that.
I mean, I said to Mike on the phone, I said, even if you say something neutral about Shedeur Sanders, it's going to be taken as a slight.
I don't care. I don't
we
care.
can't control this.
I don't
I
care.
don't even know what to say to that.
All
That's
right,
just a
last one.
ridiculous
Last
comment.
one.
Yeah.
Also from Charles T. Booby.
Yeah.
Has LeBron called Jason to be the voice of I'm Coming Home version 2? I can't wait to hear Jason, I'm dead inside. narrate the comeback.
No, I have not spoken. Last time I spoke to LeBron was when the Lakers were here.
Has he ever just called you out of the blue?
No, I've heard from his publicist.
Right.
Not
He
him.
would never call you directly.
No,
Or out of the blue.
not out of the blue line.
Does LeBron have your direct number? If LeBron had to reach you,
Yeah.
okay.
Now listen. I mean, who's more difficult to get a hold of, LeBron James or Jay-Z?
Or G.
Jay-Z.
Bush.
You have Jay-Z's phone number?
No, I mean,
Or G. Bush?
with everything, maybe G. Bush. With everything going on with Jay-Z lately, it
Yeah.
might be Jay-Z. With all the
yeah.
stuff he was messed with.
Have you ever butt dialed LeBron?
I don't have LeBron's.
Oh, you don't have his direct number?
No.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's floating
There's probably
around
not
like
many
that.
people that do.
So what's funny is his last year in Cleveland.
Yeah.
20 seconds.
I told him I want a direct line to you. I don't want to go through anybody else.
Yeah.
He said, I'll follow you on Twitter, and then you can DM me. And he never followed me.
You brought him in close. Yeah, let me.
So I still have to go through agents and publicists.
We'll see you on overtime
overtime.
in 3 minutes. Peace.
Nah, dog. We ain't.